And good morning and welcome to the start of lifting here on Saturday at USA Powerlifting's Open Nationals 2019 in beautiful Lombard, Illinois, just outside of the windy city of Chicago. Hi, I'm Elliot Feldman and I'm joined by Joe Marksteiner. How are you doing, Joe?
Doing fine this morning. Great competition coming today. We've got the 84 kilogram weight class and the 84 plus kilogram weight class. Competing this morning, we've got two flights of the 84 kilogram ladies on platform one flight of the 84 plus kilogram ladies on platform 2. Had some outstanding lifting yesterday, looking for a repeat today.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to have some exciting performances today. In the 84s, we have Natalie Hanson, who was Open World Champion 2017, 2018. As we know, she has a number of American and world records.
Opening list for Alisa Saunders is good. Laura Sterling comes up at 125 kilos on platform 1. And platform 2, Sue Hayland opened up at 147.5 and is also good. So we're off to a good start.
We also have Monet Bland, who came in third last year at the World Championships in this class, taking second in both the squat and the deadlift. So it's going to be really, really, really exciting watching them in the 84s. And in the 84 pluses, pretty much everybody's come here to see Becca Holcomb and Bonica Brown. Bonica Brown may be one of the best female lifters in the history of the sport. She's the reigning classic and equipped world champion.
Laura Sterling's out on platform 1, opening attempt 125 kilos. Down and up looks solid. And a good lift for Laura, 3 white lights. Coming up on platform 2, Christina Skirto was good at 157.5. Rebecca Meester is coming in, lifting out at an opening attempt at 175 kilos.
This is powerlifting. This is USA powerlifting. This is a blood sport. If you want blood, you got it. All right, Jim, turn it down just a little bit. Just a little bit, Jim.
And looks like Christina Skirto on platform 2 missed a 2-to-1. Had red lights from the chief and side referee, one for a depth and one for a yellow card. I'm not sure what that yellow card was for. Rebecca Meester, 175 kilos.
All right, Megan Ahami's up now on platform 1, 132.5 kilo opener. On platform 2, we have Rebecca Meester, 175 kilos.
That looked like good depth on Rebecca's squat, and she got that one past 2-to-1, had one red light for depth. Judges have a different and better perspective than we do from the camera. Coming up is Michelle Grapple at 180 kilos on platform 2. Michelle Grapple's underneath the bar at 180 kilos on platform 2. Oh, had a bobble there at the bottom. Spotter stepped in. Chief referee told her to rack the bar, so
Michelle Grapple
coming back on that one.
What was the problem with that, Joe? Was it depth?
It looked like she hit depth and just it bobbled a little bit on the way up. Didn't look like she was collapsing under the weight, so maybe it may have been a control issue. You know, if you get wrapped too early, sometimes you lose a little feeling in your feet and balance is difficult. So
yeah,
don't know exactly what the problem was, but it didn't look like it was too much weight for her. Hannah Brown is now up at 192 on platform 2. And Hannah's out underneath the weight. Got the squat signal. Nice depth on that one to look like from here.
And we have
Gets
Jill
the rack
Arno
signal
coming out on.
and 3 white lights for Hannah Brown at 192.5. Katie Dodge is coming up at 205.
So, folks, we only have one flight on platform 2, so we're going to take a half an hour break between squat and bench press so the ladies can warm up. Platform 1 has 2 flights, so they're going to move from flight A right into flight B.
And for those of you guys watching on the live stream on platform 2, Katie Dodge is backing out from underneath the bar. You can see the chief referee has her hand up. Also, you might be able to catch on the sides. The side referees have their hands up. Side referees will keep their hands up till the lifter's in the correct position to start the lift. And Katie just got the squat command. She's going down, hit depth, and come on up. We'll see what the referees say. And 3 white lights for Katie Dodge at 205. Andrea Page is coming up at 227.5.
Awesome. I love Katie Dodge. She just is always, you know, she's got a very placid exterior, but she's a very happy person and ready to fight it out. Just a good person to be around. Right.
There are some really happy people on the platform, and some people bring a battle face to the platform. And we see that whole range of.
You do too.
I'm a battle face on the platform.
Kathy, your wife Kathy is more of she likes to smile and curtsy. You're more of that, you know, that military battle face.
I'm a little old guy. I got to concentrate.
You got to concentrate.
And sometimes lifting, while it's competitive, is not that much fun.
So Andrea Page is up now, opening with over 500 pounds in the squat, folks.
And she'll be followed by Camilla Todd at the same weight.
Unbelievable.
We saw Camilla competing at the Arnold also.
We're moving really fast.
Yes. In fact, that might be an issue for some of these folks, you know, especially in gear, you know, getting it on, getting it off, getting it warmed up, and the rest required between lifts. And we got a good lift for Andrea Page there at 227.5. Weight staying the same for Camilla. When the flights are short and it's moving fast, especially the heavyweights, men and women, sometimes there's not quite enough rest between the attempts. So you got to make sure you choose your attempts wisely based on the pace of the meet and how it's moving. And certainly our spotter and loaders and all the electronics that we have helping us run competitions better have speeded up the pace of contests.
Yep. And on platform 1, it just looked like when Cameron was out there before, it just looked like she was just a little bit high on there on both sides. So, but she'll come back get it. She's definitely strong enough for that. Marissa Lutz is up now at 195 kilos, and Camilla Todd is up with
501
again. Yep. That is 501 pounds.
That was an easy shot on platform number 1.
Viviana Flores is up right now. 257.5. Wow. Good Lord, Joe. 257.5.
And that's just the start of the really heavy attempts here. We're going 257.5, then 270, then 290. Huge jumps between those elite lifters at the top end of this weight class.
I mean, you're looking at, on this 84-plus platform, platform 2, you're looking at Viviana Flores, who's more than likely going to represent the U.S. at Junior Worlds. And we've got Becca Holcomb and Monica Brown, both of whom have represented the U.S. at Open Worlds. So these 3 women truly are world-class lifters. And when I say world-class, it's because the U.S. is the best lifting nation in the world in the IPF right now.
And we're looking for some fireworks really at the end of this contest, because while Bonica has a higher forecast total, Rebecca Holcomb has that giant deadlift at the end, and that always puts you in a catbird seat. You know, depending on what the people ahead of you do, if you've got a big deadlift, there's many times you've seen somebody pull for the win.
Well, and if Becca's able to go 6 for 6 leading into the deadlift, she can put a lot of pressure on Bonica. Right. If Bonica's only got 2 benches and 2 squats on the board. And
Viviana Flores got 2 reds on her last lift. The side referees red lighted her for depth.
Yeah, and she was. I mean, Viviana's depth was. She's got to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
It was demonstratively high, not horribly high, but it doesn't matter. It was still demonstrably high. And as I tell referees all the time when we counsel them, I know you do too, Joe. There's no such thing as a marginal call or close or kind of. It's either a good lift or a bad lift.
Yeah.
And in this case, she was high, but she'll come back and get it. Becky Holcomb's up now 270 kilos.
And Viviana just put in her second attempt, and she just bumped it up 2.5 kilos from the 257.5.
Yeah,
so.
she in equipped lifting, she probably needs a little bit more weight to get down. I wouldn't have even objected to going 262.5 on there, Joe.
The weight moved very, very easily, so it wasn't weight that was the issue. It's just getting a little bit deeper.
No.
Sometimes that extra weight helps you.
All right,
there.
Talia Ramirez is up now at 225 kilos.
Becky moved that very, very easily, and she got 3 white lights. So now we're looking for a Bonica Brown and 297.5.
And on the other platform, Talia Ramirez just smoked 496 opener. I just smoked it. So we got a good-looking day here. 297.5.
It's close to Gino's favorite number, but not quite there.
Very close. Oh, she'll get a blow right past Gino's favorite. That 302.5 is going to be long past.
Yeah, that's the magic number for Gino. His famous 666 spiel. And it looks like Bonica is just going to blow right past that, as Elliot said.
So this is
platform
big.
1 starting back over on opening on second attempts, and we're getting our last squad of opening attempts on platform 2.
I mean, we've already seen, Joe, yesterday you and I saw, and everybody who watched, a historic day by Kelsey McCarthy.
Right.
I think we can see the same kind of day from Bonica Brown. Just depends on how this first squat goes for her.
I think, Becca's going to be in a horse race.
Yep.
Certainly if either one of them stumble, it could be a runaway.
Yeah.
So we've got 3 white lights for Bonica, so the heavy-duty firepower for the 84 pluses those ladies are on the board.
Yeah, and it's funny. I coached Bonica, how I met her at the 2005 Pan Am Games. That was where I first met her and handled her. So she's been a superstar since she was a kid, Joe.
Oh yeah, I remember seeing her at Women's Nationals when she was in, I think, the 84 class. She hadn't moved up to the super heavies,
right?
And was just blowing everybody away. Just phenomenal lifting even then.
Well, she played defensive tackle in high school on the boys team, and she lit some guys up. She's not just strong for a woman. She's strong.
Period.
I don't care. A 600-pound squat.
Yeah, 600-pound squat.
Is a 600-pound squat. Yep. I don't care if it's a woman. Who it is. It's big. Right now we're going back to the top of the order for Christina Skirdo. And remember, folks watching on platform 2, there will be a 30-minute break between each of the disciplines. So 30 minutes between squat and bench, 30 minutes between bench and deadlift. It's to give those athletes, because there's only one flight, it gives them time to warm up.
And in some ways, that's nice for our spotting and loading crew. That gives those guys who work really, really hard, especially with the heavier weights that they're slinging around now.
They love one flight. Yeah. One-flight sessions, the spotters and loaders.
And if you look at the background, stand in the background there on platform 2, an unsung but very familiar face here, Ron Dews. He's a stalwart at the Arnold, one of the guys who just is there from sun up to sundown.
Right.
Doing everything from setup to tear down, spot and loading. He's also a national referee and an outstanding lifter himself. So, there's an awful lot of people behind the scenes making these contests run.
Yeah, and we're talking about Sue here, Joe?
Ron Dews.
Oh, okay. We're talking about Ron Dews.
Yeah.
Okay. And so now we have Sue Hallen coming up on platform 2. Sue Hallen is a referee. She she also helped produce track and field events, swimming events.
Oh, yeah.
She was a good thrower and track person herself. So.
And she's still a competitor in throwing games and Highland Games.
Exactly.
And women's strength sports.
So she is a top-level athlete, and not just in this sport. Here she comes.
And she either timed out or whatever. I saw her lift the weight off the rack and then set it back down and walk off the platform. And so that was, 3 red lights, obviously, and the yellow card was there. And I did not hear commands. I'm not sure whether she timed out or just was not in a good position to do that lift. And just better to put the bar back in the rack than get injured. So the same weight for Laura Kolakowski at 160 kilos. She's
so
back
Abigail
out.
Krieger's up now on platform 1. She opened at 142.5, was good. Jumping up to 150, it's a nice round number. That's a 330-pound squat for a T1 lifter, which is 14 to 15 years old.
And Lori was good at 160. We're going to Michelle Grapple at 180 kilos. Michelle missed this on her first attempt and is repeating it. If I remember correctly, her first attempt, it didn't look too heavy. It just looked like a balance or control issue, somewhere after she'd come out of the hole. So we'll see how she does on this attempt.
Was Kolakowski good?
Yes.
Because she was good at 160. And Michelle Grapple missed her 80. She had a bobble at the top. Was that what she did, Joe?
It looked like about halfway up. It just like there was a bobble, and the spotter loader stepped in, but it didn't look like it was strength or a depth issue.
Yeah.
So we'll watch this one closely and see what happens.
And Mikel is a dog person too. She loves animals. All right, Jill Arno's up on 170
that
kilos.
one looked pretty well controlled. Had a nice controlled descent, little dip at the bottom, and looks like she got 3 reds on depth on that one. And again, the weight didn't look like it was too heavy. Looks like she needs to go a little deeper to satisfy the referees. Okay, following her on at 182.5 is Rebecca Meester. So not a big weight change, but the spotter loader's got to change the height of the racks. And certainly powerlifting's progressed a long way since we started. The lever action racks have just changed how fast this.
Better than the old hydraulic jacks.
Yeah, the old hydraulic jacks or the old modified automobile jacks that used to be used. The stability and safety of the racks are so much better now than.
And they would start leaking oil sometimes from the adjustment bolt and everything. So anyway, Jill Arno, this is her first meet, Joe, as an M3. So happy old birthday to Jill Arno, M3.
Nice strong lift for Rebecca Meester, and that was a nice deep squat, or it looked deep from our perspective. 2 whites, 1 red, so that lift was passed by the referees. Now we got Hannah Brown at 205 on platform 2.
Yep.
And in our heavyweight weight class, in the 84 plus class, we've got our lightest lifter is at 84.65. So she's the lightest lifter in the class, up to Rebecca Holcomb topping out at the top of the class at 163 kilos.
Right.
So we've got a wide range of lifters in here and a wide range of performance.
So the way Jill described, because she just moved into the M3s, the way she described it is the M3s, the M1s are old, the M2s are old as dirt, M3s are you're still alive, and M4s, holy crap, you're still alive.
Well,
that was the way she described that.
I'm in the you're still alive category, and actually my wife Kathy is an M3 lifter this year also.
Right, and I will be in 2 years, so we'll all be there.
And missed there on platform 1. Spotters and loaders did a great job catching that, and while they made it look easy, that weight was well over 400 pounds that they were catching, and did a great job keeping the lifter safe and also keeping the meet moving on schedule.
Now the danger here right now is for Caitli Jones. Marissa Lutz is coming up on platform 1, but right after her is Caitli Jones. Caitli Jones is a 2017 sub-junior world champion. She missed her 220 opener. She wants to be there. lifting as a junior lifter, so at World Championships. But she's got to get this 220 in here. Right now, Marissa Lutz is up at 215.
Okay, Katie Dodge just had 220 on the bar. And Katie Dodge is good at 220. And Marissa Lutz's lift at 215 was good. So we got Caitli Jones coming up at 220. As Elliot said, she missed her first attempt at 220, so she wants to get on the board with this one.
Yeah, and she's got bigger fish to fry. This is for her to get through to win the World Championship. Right. This is not for her to try to just do well in this meet.
Yeah, and while this is the pinnacle meet for us in the United States, it's really a stepping stone to the world competitions for these lifters. And so, many of these lifters are trying to have a good performance here and set them up for a great performance at the coming Worlds later in the year.
Yeah, Caitli Jones, she's coached by Tim Anderson at Midland University. They have some just amazing lifters. Tim has a good job of recruiting his athletes.
Okay. And Caitli looked like she had a dip a little bit in the middle, but didn't satisfy the referees on depth. She had 3 red lights, and at least 2 of those red lights were for depth. Looks like the spotters had to help Camilla on that 232.5. And so we're going to raise the bar to 250 for Andrea Page coming up. And following Andrea is Viviana Flores at 260, and she missed her opener at 257.5, so we need to watch Viviana following this lift. Talia Ramirez on platform 1 to 237.5. A little over 500 pounds on the bar there. Fought through the sticking point. We'll see what the referees say. And 2-1, good lift for Talia. Starting over at the beginning of the flight with Elisa Saunders at 130 kilos on platform 1. Andrea Page is taking 250 for a ride. And that was a good lift for Andrea, 3 white lights. Now Viviana Flores is up at 260. This is a slight jump up from her first attempt. Didn't satisfy the referees on depth at 257.5 the first time, so this is 260, and we'll see where it goes. After Viviana is Rebecca Holcomb, followed by Bonica Brown.
That was going to be interesting to see this with Viviana. She did not meet the standard for depth. It was clearly not deep enough. So let's see if she went up 2.5 kilos from the 257.5 to 260. That had 6 pounds on her back, and hopefully that extra little bit can get her down, Joe.
Well, fought through the sticking point. We'll see what the referees call. And she got 2 whites, so that was a pass lift, and so she is now in the contest and set up, as Elliot was talking about, for going to the Junior Worlds. You have to get at least 1 squat, at least 1 bench, and at least 1 deadlift to move on. So she's made the first step now. Rebecca Holcomb's up at 290, and following her will be Bonica Brown at 317.5.
Yeah, and Viviana was considerably deeper than she was on her opening attempt. As convincingly as she was high on her first, she was convincingly at depth on her second. So that 6 pounds, that 2.5 kilos helped her out, Joe.
Yep.
Man, those are some big numbers, even on platform 1. I mean, it's A flight, but they're hitting some big numbers. You're going to have 2 squatters over 500 pounds in that flight A. Typically, Flight A are lower nominated lifters than in Flight B.
Right. Yeah, I think almost everybody in Flight B, they're the open lifters, and with a little bit of crossover. So the age group lifters are typically in Flight A, and then the open nominated lifters are in Flight B.
Flight B, yep. Unless you have somebody who's top flight in both.
And Rebecca got 3 white lights, so she's well on her way to having a great contest. Going to be loading up the bar to 317.5.
And on platform 2, it's a University of Pittsburgh team, Pitt, that is doing all this. Lee Macarone is the head. All right, so Benica is called for 317.5, folks. This is a massive number in the squat. 700 pounds. The world record right now is 318. She's a half kilo under. She set this world record in Homestead, Sweden last year.
And it looks like that's going to disappear later this year. Next time she lifts, for the world record, this will be, if this is easy, and I think it's going to be.
Right.
Her third attempt is going to be smash that unofficial world record.
So this is a half kilo, 1 pound under her.
Yeah, that looked quite easy.
Yeah.
And 3 white lights. So just like Kelsey McCarthy yesterday, it looks like Benica Brown is on her way to send a message out to the rest of the world saying, "Here I come." And we're back to the beginning of the flight with Sue Halen, longtime lifter, master lifter this year. She lifted in Mongolia. One of the perks of powerlifting is getting to travel for international competition, and we travel to some places that are in different parts of the world than you would expect, and so there's some sightseeing opportunities and some cultural opportunities that might not present themselves in some of the other sports that are going to some more of the mainstream cities. So this is a lot of fun.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with any place we've gone. India was a little, because of the heat and some of the other stuff.
Yeah, sometimes it's a little sporting.
But pretty much every other place we've been, I think, Joe, you'll agree, there's something interesting about it.
Oh, yeah, and exposure to the other cultures. I mean, even if it's, a little hot and a little difficult to get there, you got to realize that when you go to India, 25% of the people in the world live that way.
Yeah, no kidding.
Sometimes it's an eye-opener for us in the United States to see what the rest of the world lives like. We're used to having hot and cold running water and electricity and everything else, and other parts of the world are not quite so lucky sometimes.
No, it's very different. Very different. You travel and you learn the differences. You have to ask for water. Actually, they ask you if you want water. They don't just bring it to you. There's no ice in anything. But you just get used to it.
Yep.
No heating in the hallways in the hotels, which again, in the middle of the winter, if you're not used to it, you're not used to it. But it makes perfect sense, though. When we were just in Columbus, Joe, for the Arnold, the Spring Hill Suites was about 82 degrees in the hallway.
Okay, Sue Halen had a good third attempt on squat. Lori Kolakowski is good at 170 kilos. And as Elliot said, when we finish up squat 3 here on platform 2, that platform is going to have a half-hour break.
Right.
Those lifters get a chance to get warmed up for bench, and spotters and loaders will get a well-earned break.
Yep, definitely.
We got Christina Skirto coming up.
Kolakowski was good at 170, Joe, I think, correct?
That's correct. We've got Christina Skirto at 172.5, and then following her will be Michelle Grapple at 205 at 180. And Michelle needs to get this one in. She's been able to come up with the weight both times. Just needs to satisfy the referees on depth.
Yeah, Mikel started out as a raw lifter and has moved in the last 2 years towards being in gear. So I really want to see her get this right now. Christina Skirto's up at 172.5 on platform 2. Platform 1.
Wow, that was fast. That was a fast squat for Christina. And 3 white lights on that, so they'll be loading the bar to 180 for Michelle, and we'll see where that goes. And certainly if Michelle is new to gear, it's an awful lot of skill and technique goes to learning gear. It's so different from raw competition. When I started in powerlifting 40 years ago, I started in gear, and gear gradually evolved, and took some time off and lifted raw for a long period of time, then got back into gear, and learning the new gear, even though I'd lifted in it before, was a very, very steep learning curve.
It is. It definitely is. But I think that's part of what people like about it, Joe, is that you're adding another skill level to the sport itself.
Absolutely. And Michelle had a bobble there, so the spotter stepped in, kept her safe. But that was obviously a no lift for Michelle, and I hope she continues and has a better day on bench press and deadlift. Rebecca Meester's going at 205 on platform 2. Got the bar loaded on both platforms. Caitli Jones on platform 1 is the bar's loaded for 220 kilos, and she needs this attempt to stay in the contest. So this is an important attempt for her on platform 1. So if you're watching at home, send some good vibes her way. She's been able to come up with the weight, I think, on her previous 2 attempts. Just needs to satisfy the judges on depth. Fighting through that one. We'll see what happens. And that was a good lift, 2-1, white lights. Caitli Jones is in the contest. Marissa Lutz is going to be lifting 230 on platform 1. Platform 2, we got Hannah Brown at 210. Following her will be Katie Dodge at 227.5. Good fight on platform 1. And a good lift for Marisa Lutz on platform 1.
All right, so up now on platform 1 is going to be Talia Ramirez with 245.
And Hannah Brown had a no lift on platform 2 at 210. Katie Dodge will be coming out 227.5.
245 kilos is big.
Loaded, platform 2. Loaded, platform 1.
And we're finishing up the first flight of the 84 kilogram lifters on platform 1. And we'll be going into the second flight of the 84 kilogram lifters. And some of those lifters will be putting up weights, certainly worthy of being in the super heavyweight category.
Yeah, you're going to see some big numbers in all 3 disciplines from the 84s.
Yeah.
The flight,
and we had a no lift on platform
up.
1 there, just a little too heavy for the lifter. Had no lift on platform 2. Katie Dodge missed 227.5, and now we're going to 232.5 for Camilla Todd. She'll be followed by Andrea Page.
Camilla Todd, bars loaded. Yes, bars loaded. Camilla Todd. Goes by Zach Krieger.
Camilla was unsuccessful with this on her second attempt, so she's repeating at 232.5. And it's only a 5 kilogram jump up from her opener, so it may be one of those days where okay, Camilla's backing out. we'll see how she does. This is a tough lift on her second. Fighting through the sticking point. That one looked pretty good from here. Helped back into the rack by the spotter loaders. And 3 white lights for Camilla Todd. And one of the things you might notice, too, is that, when she got to the top of her squat, when told to replace the bar, she was close enough to the racks that pretty much all she needed to do was lean in and set the bar on the pin. So, experienced lifters conserve a lot of energy. They take a minimum number of steps moving back from the rack and a minimum number of steps replacing the bar in the rack. And saving energy like that is cumulative over the course of the contest. You save a little energy on squat, you got a little more for bench press and a little more for deadlift.
Yep.
And every single rep, when you're wrapped up tight and the weight's heavy on your back, it takes a toll on you. So you want to get your best, but conserving energy along the way is one of the ways to do it.
Yeah. Andrea Page is up now at 272.5. It's one of those magical numbers in North America. 600-pound squat for Andrea Page. Did not come up with it.
Viviana Flores just got stuck there coming out of the hole at 275. So she'll take, Andrea Page got stuck there coming out of the hole at 272.5. And so she'll take 250 kilos towards her total. We're raising the bar to 275 for Viviana Flores.
I mean, Joe, that was a huge jump for Andrea Page. She went from 227.5, took a 17.5 kilo jump to 250, right? And then took a 22.5 kilo jump to 272.5. I might have liked to see that reversed a little bit.
Yep.
The 22.5 first and then the 17.5.
And it may have been one of those ones where trying to position herself against her competition, Andrea Page and Viviana Flores. They're not competing against each other, though. We've got an M1 and a junior. So it doesn't look like she was trying to overtake her competition. At first I was looking at the two lifters going, their subtotals and their attempts on squat and bench and deadlift would put them in head-to-head contention, but since they're not in the same age categories,
I'm not really sure what that was.
Yeah.
I mean, she wanted the 600, obviously.
Yeah.
That's what was on the bar.
And struggling there on platform 2 to drive through the sticking point on lift, and that was a hard-fought lift.
That was really hard fought.
And 2-1, a good lift. After fighting for one like that, that's really gratifying to get it past. Because those are many of those lifts. There's somewhere in the middle where where you're really, really, really fighting, and you just have to dig deep and be determined to finish the lift.
And I'll tell you, that was a heck of a fight for Viviana Flores, too.
Okay, we got Rebecca Holcomb at 300 kilos coming up. Or
300 kilos coming up here for Becky. And again, going back to what I was talking about, she went 270 opener, smashed it, went up 20 kilos, 44 pounds to 290, and is now going a more modest 10 kilo jump, 22 pounds. So she'll be at 661 right here, 300 kilos.
Yep.
Wow.
That moved quite easily for
the referee say with that.
Yep. 3 whites for Rebecca. So
Becky Holcomb, that was a great lift by Becky Holcomb.
She's certainly sending a message too that she's not out of this fight. She's a little bit behind on squat, a little bit behind Benica on bench, but depending on how third attempts pan out, she's got that big deadlift at the end. And a big deadlift, as I said, an awful lot of people have been able to pull out a victory, especially when the adrenaline's running. So this is shaping up to be a little bit interesting. It's certainly not a runaway yet.
This is an unofficial world record.
So this 325 that Benica's calling for here, her existing world record is 318. So it's 7 kilos, about 15 pounds over the existing world record.
Yeah, so this is not just beating it by a whisker. This is beating it by a very noticeable margin.
Now again, it's her own record, so.
Yep.
Oh,
Looks
wow.
light. Let's see what the referees
moved,
say.
That moved pretty easy. There was certainly more weight that she could have put on the bar. That was really easy. So now we got a half-hour break on platform 2. We'll see what platform 1 looks like. So you give our spotters and loaders a well-needed break, and we'll see where we go from here. Looks like Caitli Jones was successful at 220, and Jonna Briannon would be.
All right, so Sarah Davis was good at 217 and a half. And Sarah was the 2017 and 2018 collegiate national champs, and she was last year. She was junior world champion. So she has a nice pedigree. Monet Bland's coming up now. Monet finished second last year to Natalie Hanson. I'm sorry, third last year in the world. She was the number 2 squatter between Natalie and the number 2 deadlifter.
And she does have and she's opened bigger by about 25 kilograms on deadlift than Natalie. The big differentiator between Natalie and Monet is bench press.
Monet, 3. It's over there, Monet. It's over there. No. The lights. Come here. You walk off this way. Sorry, Monet. She was looking for the lights. 3 white lights for Monet. Boys loaded, Natalie Hansen, 551 pounds. Give Natalie Hansen.
That was all,
And we only have 8 lifters in this second flight, so again, that's a relatively fast turnover for the lifters, and it seems like the lightweight, smaller folks are a little more adaptable to those fast turnovers.
Yeah.
The heavyweight men and heavyweight women, the fast turnover in the flight, especially in geared lifting, takes a little bit of a toll on them. So
right.
It's important to choose your attempts wisely and not just necessarily what what you've been able to get in the gym. When you lift in the gym, you lift when you're ready. In a contest, you lift 1 minute after they say bars loaded.
Here comes Natalie.
Oh, that was deep and
Well,
easy
so
and
easy.
strong. That was a convincing opener on so many levels. 250 kilos is in the tank. And going back to the beginning of the flight, Jonna Briannon at 175 kilos coming up.
Now, Natalie's 2017-2018 World Open champion. 2017 in Pilsen was a great meet for her. It's a dominant, one of the great performances in female powerlifting. Last year she won, not quite as good. Her back has been bothering her, so she wants to see how she holds up today. That's more what it is for her, getting through and doing what she needs to do. And both she and Monet were successful athletes in other sports. So Monet was in track and field and rugby, and then actually wanted to do something else after she stopped playing rugby. So she sought out and found herself the Northeastern University team and got on that team.
Oh, wow.
Natalie was a volleyball and a basketball player, and she kind of got indoctrinated into this whole thing. She was lucky enough to get in with Gene Bell and Bell Power Systems. So
right.
She was there training with Ian and other people, and she was a raw lifter, and they got her into gear. Gene said that that's a natural progression, got her in the gear. Her first meet, Joe, her first meet in gear was Nationals in San Antonio in 2015. She benched 150. 330 in her first meeting, her first meet in gear, totaled 605.
Wow.
So those are big, big, big numbers.
Oh, yeah. And certainly we're seeing that, and probably a lot of people suspected that it's true. Good athletes from other sports, many of them make very, very good power lifters.
Correct. Mindset, if nothing else.
And I would imagine, too, that, very, very good, some of our very good power lifters, would make good athletes in other sports. So there's some crossover. Those, those gifts that elite level athletes have, translate into success in a number of sports.
And so Deanna Gerdeschmeider on one was good. She had the Tennessee State chair and trains at the Ogre compound.
All
there
right.
we go.
We've got Sarah Green coming out. She missed 180 on her opener. You know, just like everybody, you know, that puts the pressure on. You want to get one in, you know, get some breathing room so you can get a good third attempt and look towards building a good total.
So, for you people tuning in on platform
Just
2.
not able to turn that one around and keep it moving up. So Sarah Green misses again on 180. We'll be loading the bar to 202.5 for Kalo.
For those of you watching on platform 2, we'll be coming back there in about 16 minutes to get started. They are warming up. There was only one flight or one group of athletes on there, so they're given a full half an hour to warm up. Normally, if there are multiple flights, you are warming up your squats while the previous flight is squatting, and goes on for the bench and the deadlift.
Though certainly when there's one less flight, the warm-up area is a lot less crowded, and so that makes for a little more space for the weights and the lifters that are moving them around back there. Okay, 3 whites for Ka on at 205 or 202.5. Sarah Roddick's next lifter at 220. She'll be followed by Sarah Davis at 225.
All right.
And then Monet and Natalie will round out the second attempts on squat.
And Sarah's husband will be lifting tomorrow morning, I believe. So you can tune in and watch another Roddick compete right now. She was good at 210, moved up to 220. Right now, Sarah's up here with the 220.
And that one just didn't look deep enough at all from here. And I normally don't call, you know, sitting here at the announcer's booth, I normally don't make any judgments about the lifts on the platform. I don't want to be second-guessing the referees, but that one looked like a partial attempt. You could see when she came up to put it back in the rack that you know, she was smiling about that, and I don't think she was smiling because she knew it was a good attempt. I think she was smiling because, you know, she knew that she had made a mistake, and it certainly wasn't,
Yeah.
you know, and she's going to repeat that attempt at 220. So weight's going to 225 for Sarah Davis.
So Sarah wants to give a shout out to HDR. It's the company she works for in Austin, Texas. They're very supportive of her coming to meets and going to meets. So it's good when you have when your work life and your powerlifting life are aligned. It makes for a lot easier life. But you know, it was really interesting last year. So Collegiate Nationals was at College Station, where she went to college, Texas A&M. That was the first time in her life, Joe, her mom had ever seen her compete live. And she said it was a very emotional thing for her, being her last collegiate meet at her home turf.
Yep, I do understand that. And certainly, you know, the live streaming that we have available today, while it's not the same as being there, you know, a lot of lifters early on in their career that nobody from their family ever got a chance to see him compete, because you know, some were military guys overseas, and families couldn't travel to see him compete, and the live streaming and video capabilities that we have now at least save those memories for a lot of folks. Okay, we got Monet Bland coming out at 255, and Natalie Hanson will follow her at 257.5. So only a 2.5 kilogram difference between these two ladies on second attempt squats right now.
And Monet wants to give a shout out to Mark Semensky, who's the owner proprietor of Bay State Athletic. Last year we had 2 training camps for our open team heading to Sweden. One of those camps was at Bay State.
Easy.
So Mark, thank you very much for hosting us.
Both Sarah and Monet did a great job on those 2 squats. You know, very nice depth, and it showed a lot of power and control. So Natalie Hansen's coming up at 257.5.
I mean, that's an amazing squat you see here from Monet. When you watch her form, you can just see how good she is. I will tell you what, her squat was a mess at Collegiate Nationals in Providence. She and Paulie Steinman, her coach, reworked her entire squat. She was already an elite level lifter and went back to ground zero and started over. And that's what makes her such a great athlete. Natalie Hansen's up with 257.5. It's 567.
Oh, that first step looked a little, like she was a little off balance there. Knee almost buckled. We'll see if she gets that all stabled out. Down and up quite
fast,
easy,
man.
so that step was certainly not an indication that the weight was too much for her. 3 white lights, excellent lift. And we're starting back to the top of the flight, squat 3. Jonna Brianna at 175 kilos. Jonna missed this on her second attempt, and she'll be followed by Sarah Green at 180.
Yeah, now, Natalie is kind of an interesting thing because she started even before volleyball and basketball. She started out competing as a kid, and she competed in the Native Youth Olympics up in Alaska, and it's basically an Inuit event, kind of like Highland Games, but for Inuits. And she participated in what's known as the seal hop. And if you've ever seen how seals hop across the Arctic, that's what they would do. They would be out in a push-up position and hop for distance. So that's kind of, I think.
Well, maybe that's where the bench press strength is coming from.
I'm telling you, it probably did. Hey, Joe, it's like when people go to the academy, right? They get to the Air Force Academy. They're a little spoon-chested. By Christmas time, everybody's all jacked up from all the push-ups, right? Everybody changes. So it's very well possible that she built that strength.
At the service academies, you can't opt out of PE. You got to do a lot of sports that you might not choose to do. So it is quite interesting watching the 200-pound football players attempt to do some of the things in gymnastics.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, we've got Sarah Green coming out at 180. She needs to get this attempt in to stay in the contest.
Guys, we have 10 minutes to start on platform 2.
There was a bobble at the bottom. That weight just was not in control for her today. So spotters did a great job keeping her safe, getting the weight back in the rack.
Well, and if you think these women can squat, you should come and watch some of these women bench. You see guys bragging about their bench in the gym where you work out. There's at least 5 women in here who are going to push more bench than them.
Yeah. Well, I was going to say, powerlifting is a very humbling sport. You very quickly find out how strong you are, and it's measured against a standard. There's a lot of good gym lifts, but when the referees judge you against the standard, it's really a whole different animal. That was a nice-looking squat from Deanna Gertzmeyer. And 3 white lights. Judges rewarded. Nice form. That was a very, very nice-looking squat.
And again, Deanna is the Tennessee State Chair. She trained to the Ogre Compound with Wade Johnson. Wade's waiting to try to get his own ticket stamped to Masters Worlds in South Africa. So it's good there for. It's interesting with Wade. He lifted in another federation for years and years, and he said his life dream was always to win an IPF championship. And he has been in this sport probably for 35 years, probably as long as I have, not quite as long as you have. And he is nervous as a cat on a hot tin roof right now because, and I use that because he's a Tennessee boy, right? But he's got his branch water ready. He's going to celebrate afterwards. But right now, making it to IPF Worlds has been his big goal.
Goal of a lifetime, I do understand.
Yeah, you do. I mean, you've been there, Joe.
It took me until I was a M3 to get to a world championship as a competitor.
Oh, it's going to be me too.
And sometimes, to M3s, it's like you said, holy cow, he's still alive. Okay, Carlo, it was unsuccessful at 207.5. Sarah Roddick's now up at 220. And then our last three ladies of the fight, it'll be Sarah Davis, Monet Bland, and Natalie Hanson.
Including wooden, sole, squatting, and benching shoes. Bars loaded, Sarah Roddick. She's part of Equipped Excellent, owner and proprietor Joey Capolino. Oh, yeah. Come on, Sarah. It's times like these we're ready for you to squat.
So again, Sarah's squatting here now. Her husband's help handle her, and she'll be helping handle him tomorrow morning.
That was just a little too much weight. Didn't look like she really got to depth on that, but made the decision to turn around to try to bring it up, and then just couldn't
the second
finish
one, she
out
had
the
the
lift
same
at
issue on the
220.
second one. She was very high on the second one. But again, she missed at 225 on her second, which is not deep enough. Tried adding the 5 kilos. We've discussed that. It's not generally something you will see in classic or raw lifting. Geared lifting, oftentimes, especially in the squat and the bench, you will see somebody miss and then still go up to try and work the gear. Try and get a little more weight. So,
and certainly, when the gear locks up on a suit, there's a depth that you can hit, and sometimes you just can't hardly go past it in the suit. So adding a little bit more weight, helps you get to that legal depth.
Now for Sarah, this
nice.
is a 2.5 kilo PR if she makes it. Oh boy.
Looked like she was just right there at that critical point. You move the weight another inch or two, and you finish it easy. And actually, that's a kind of an interesting point. When you see people miss squats, most of them don't miss the squat deep in the hole. People talk about, going deeper makes it harder. Most people don't miss that squat deep in the hole. They miss it, about 10, 20 degrees above parallel, where you're transitioning from, where the suit isn't as tight, and where you're transitioning, the muscle groups. Okay. And Monet put in 2 beautiful squats on attempts 1 and 2. Looking for a great attempt here on squat number 3.
Yeah, so for Monet, this is going to be a 5 kilo personal best for her right here.
And she knew that one from the time it started up. She was smiling as soon as the weight started moving. So 3 white lights on that. That was a very nice, solid attempt, and certainly, well executed. And sometimes you say it looked like you have more in the tank, but sometimes that sticking point or just that one thing, half a kilo makes the difference between finishing and getting stuck.
No doubt.
She moved this one very, very nicely.
And it's funny when you watch Monet that you'll see it on the deadlift. Obviously, you won't see it on the bench press, but she oftentimes breaks into a huge toothy grin as she's finishing her lifts. That's why we nicknamed her Superstar, because she just has that glow. She knows what she's doing there, and she's just a joy to be around. Natalie Hansen's coming up now. 265 kilos here.
On her last rep, her first step out of the rack looked like it stumbled a little bit.
Yeah, she did.
Okay. Yeah, this looks much better, a much better setup.
Yeah.
But she certainly recovered last one and made it look easy after that.
Now this is well under her personal best that she set in 2017.
And 3 white lights on that one. So
that was easy for her.
And we got a 10-minute break here on platform 1 before we start, and platform 2, we've got about 4 minutes or so before platform 2 starts back up on bench press.
Natalie made quick work of that thing, but realize that that's almost 20 pounds under her best. So 2017 was a masterful, all-time great performance for Natalie Hansen. And then last year she won, but just won. It wasn't that. And she's still trying to recover from that. So this is not just a sport of Oh, you just get strong. You also have to stay healthy, but you all have to continue, even when you're not healthy, continue to train around it as best as possible and try to continue competing.
Right.
So it's a rough, it's kind of a rough paper route, to be on and have real life happen along with it.
And when you're near the top of your game, and you're pretty much, and you're close to peaked out on on all your capabilities, it's pretty much impossible to just stay right at that that elite or peak performance level 100% of the time. That's the reason we train in cycles, so that we're not trying to be at the top of the performance level the entire time.
Hey, we're back again on platform 2, kicking off the lifting with Laurie Kolakowski at 80 kilograms, platform 2. Sitting down on the end of the bench, getting ready to move under the bar. And just like squat, depending on the view, camera view you're seeing from the referees, you'll see the side referees with their arms up. After they drop their arms, that means the lifter's in position to start the lift, and the chief referee will give them the signal to start. That one popped off her chest quite easily. Looked like the top end had some stability issues, and they had to ask the spotter loaders to rack the bar. So plenty of speed off the chest, but just not enough stability at the top. Laurie will be back on that. Yeah, she just put in her second attempt at 80 kilos. We're going to 82.5 for Christina Skirto. She'll be followed by Sue Hilland at 100 kilos. And Christina's attempt at 82.5 was solid, so that gives her a 255 subtotal. Sue Halen's now up at 100 kilos. And it looks like we've got about 5 minutes before we get started on Platform 1 again, so we'll just be watching Platform 2 and talking about those guys as they lift for the next 5 minutes or so. And Sue Helen, a veteran of the sport, and both this sport and other strength sports for women, with 100 kilos on the bar. A nice, strong, and controlled rep. You know, sometimes strength isn't the only issue that you're dealing with, especially in the gear. Getting locked out and controlling where the bar is at the top is quite important. So that was a really nice looking opening attempt for Sue. We're going to 102.5 for Hannah Brown. Hannah sets up with a nice high arch. That arch reduces the range of motion that you have to press the bar, but you still got to get the bar to touch and still got to lock it out to full arm's length. Nice solid lockout, nice control at the top. 3 white lights for Hannah. We're going to 115 kilos for Rebecca Meester. And it looks like about 3 minutes before we kick off bench on Platform 1. Our opening lifter on Platform 1 will be Elisa Saunders at 60 kilograms. And so we'll be going 60, 62.5, 67.5 for those ladies as they start the 84 kilogram class bench. Nice solid opener again for Rebecca Meester. Same weight for Katie Dodge, 115 kilos.
So Mikel is pulled out, Joe, it looks like.
Right.
All right. There may be something going on because that's not Paulie Simon, who's her coach, and I know Mikel fairly well. That's not something she would do. She wouldn't have come all this way and trained. So there must be something going on that's affecting her from benching and deadlifting. Because guys, even if you don't get a squat in, you can still work on your bench and work on your deadlift. Never just back out.
And every attempt you take on the real competition platform is good training for further competition because the competition platform is different than the gym. It's a different environment.
My first meet was in '83, I think. I didn't feel it first really clicked in like 2005. That's how long it took till that switch, till I felt like I was dominant out there.
Right.
And not like I wasn't having good performances. I mean, I was hitting, heavy weights. But it was just, there was that moment, and I still remember in Palm Springs getting under and walking out that squat and just feeling I'm really in control.
Right, yeah. I think that's a good way to put it. You might not be a dominant lifter, but you feel like you're in control of your process. That you're getting your wrapping done on time. That that the meet is happening at a pace you're ready to handle, as opposed to you just caught up in the tide and get wrapped, get out there, and everything's a scramble to get out.
Yeah, well, to give you an example of at that point already, the only lifter who lifted behind me in my session, in the squat and the deadlift, was Mike Bridges.
Oh, wow.
So that'll kind of tell you like where I was at that point. Mike Bridges is an all-time great in this sport in all 3 lifts, but it just kind of clicked.
Right.
You know, and it was 9 for 9, 27 whites, and I just felt dominant, not strong, just, you know, in control. So Camilla Todd's up now, 137.5. So guys, 137.5, Andrea Page and Camilla Todd are already over 300 pounds in the bench press. This is what we were talking about. You thought that some of these women could squat. Watch some of these women bench press.
And that one popped up off her chest pretty good. It looks like we're getting started on a bench on platform 1. Got our opening attempt, looks like it's 60 kilograms.
All right, so Viviana Flores is open at 155. I mean,
And it looks like we got a good opening bench on platform 1 at 60 kilograms for Elisa Saunders. Going to 62.5 for Abigail Krieger.
I mean, Viviana's opening at 342. That's a big number.
I'll say.
I wish I had that bench right now, Joe.
Well, I lift into 66s and 74, so all of these numbers are big for me. You know, you know, when you're a little guy and old, you're just happy to keep lifting sometimes. And you have to sometimes, you know, forget what you used to do when you were young, because anytime somebody asks me what I can lift, I tell them what I can lift now, not what I used to do.
No, I do the same thing. Well, hell, I'm running around bragging about my 505 total from the other night. That's not close to my best, but you know, you're talking about where you are now.
Right.
All right, Becky Holcomb's up now at 175.
And our next bench will be 190 kilograms. Opening bench for a woman, more than 400 pounds.
Yeah. These are big numbers they're pushing right here.
You know, I used to think it was a big deal when I got into the gym and I could put, you know, a 45 pound plate on each side of the bar and bench it.
Yeah. Oh, I still remember hitting 135, a solid 135 for the first time.
Yeah. And we got a good opener on platform 1 for Megan Ahern, and going to 90 kilograms for Sarah Boland. Platform 2, Becky Holcomb's underneath the bar at 175 kilograms. A touch and a drive it out to arm's length. That looked really solid and strong. 3 white lights for Becky. Now we're going to 190 for Bonica.
Interestingly enough, the world record in the bench press right now is 227. So 501 is the record. So we'll see. Well, it'd be interesting to see what's going on here.
Right. Well, certainly Bonica, the way her squats went, nothing looked difficult. So I would not be surprised.
I was training with her the other night,
and that was easy.
And she was moving weight. I mean, it was warm-up stuff, but it was moving really well for her.
And so we're back up at the beginning of the flight for bench 2 for the 84 kilogram plus on platform 2. Lori Kolakowski is repeating at 80 kilograms. And she popped the weight off her chest very quickly on her first rep. It looked like she just had some control problems at the top. And sometimes that's just, you know, you get psyched up and the shirt's really helping, and you get to the top and you just weren't ready for the weight to be there, and it's not stable. And chief referee calls rack just to be safe. And weightlifting is, yeah, you got to move the weight, but you also got to control it for safety. So we'll see how this one goes.
So, we were watching Benika show up in the
Looks
190
like she
and
got
smashed
caught.
it.
She just did not look stable for most of that rep. The bar floated around before she got the start signal, and then about halfway up, it looked like it bobbled, and she's just not staying in the groove necessary to make that shirt do the right amount of work. And she'll repeat that 80 kilograms on her third attempt.
Joe, what happened on Kolakowski's second bench? What did you see?
After the handoff, the bar floated up towards her eyes and then back over her chest.
Yeah.
I'm just not sure whether she got the handoff in the right position or whether the shirt's just not set up right.
That left arm looked like it dragged.
Looked like control, and then the weight came off her chest fairly easily, and then it looked like the left arm just wasn't driving through to the lockout point. And, and the spotter loaders had to take it. On her first rep, she got it. It looked like to arm's length, but it, not stable up there at the top. And
right.
So on both of them, it looks more like a control issue than a strength issue.
Gotcha.
But certainly controlling the shirt is one of the skill sets that makes equipped lifting very difficult. In bench press, more so I think than any of the others.
Right.
On squat. You need to be able to master the gear to get deep enough. But on bench, you got to control the bar all the way through the lift to make sure you stay in that optimum position, because the bar can fall off the bubble, as they say, and if it falls off towards the top, it's going toward your head, and if it falls off the bottom, going towards your belly button.
Right. For those of you what Joe said about off the bubble, if you picture the way a bench shirt works, it would be as if you had a Bosu ball, that half a ball that people use, sitting on your chest, and that's what your bench shirt is like. So if you come down right through the middle of that bubble, it's smooth and the bar will go back up. If you're below like the curve of that bubble or above the curve of that bubble, it's either going to go towards your face or it's going to go towards your feet.
Right.
So that's what Joe, imagine you actually have to pull the bench press down through that Bosu, the center of that Bosu ball, to get it down.
And the way the bench shirts work, when you're at top end, if you just relax and try to let the bar settle to your chest, it won't get there. You literally need to pull the bar to your chest to make it touch. And so that's something really odd. Almost all of us think is bench press as a pushing exercise, but when you're in a shirt that's fit right and you're going to get the maximum out of it, the first half of the lift sometimes is pulling the bar to your chest.
Yeah, one of the easiest ways I've been able to raise people that I coach to raise their bench press is to simply double the amount of the volume for their upper back work. So let's say, just for an example real quick, if they're doing 10 sets of upper back work, we move to 15 to 20 sets of upper back work, because it allows them to keep their elbows in and pull that bar down, and then pop it. You're actually popping that bar and pulling your hands apart to spring it up, so you're not pressing this out.
Right. And as we mentioned, that's what makes raw and equipped lifting two completely different animals. It's the skill set to be an equipped lifter is you certainly need strength, but there's a whole additional skill set that's necessary to maximize the use of the equipment.
Now, interesting thing, Joe, is over the last 2 to 3 years, I have seen raw benchers, classic benchers, benching more using geared or equipped form. So you're seeing far more of elbows in and the flare than you do a typical bodybuilder bench, is what we saw in the early days of classic lifting.
Well, certainly some of the things that the equipped bench presses are using, the very high arch, the very wide grip, and touching the highest part of the abdomen, all of those techniques that make for very effective equipped benching. There's some good possibility for crossover, depending on anatomical issues with the body, to make you a very good raw bench presser too. Shorter range of motion, taking advantage of arch and wide grip, and it may not produce the mirror muscles that you want for bodybuilding, but this is a sport about moving the weight through a prescribed range of motion. Okay, we're halfway through second attempts on platform 2, Katie Dodge just missed 122.5. We've got Andrea Page at 145 and Camilla Todd at 145. Both of those ladies were successful on their first attempt benches, and they had the same first attempt bench at 137.5, and both of them are attempting 145 for their second attempt bench. And they're not competing head-to-head. They're looking at very, very similar attempts for their squats, their bench press, and their totals. You know, and in some ways, it's kind of like having a running buddy for the marathon. You might not be competing with that person, but traveling side by side, you motivate each other to get your best performance in the contest. And Andrea Page was good at 145. We'll see if Camilla Todd can duplicate that effort.
Yeah, she's really, Andrea's she's another person I really like. She's an easy person to be around. Not high strung.
Looks like
Camilla Todd's calling for the same weight.
Yep. On platform 1, and I wasn't watching this real close, I see Talia Ramirez was successful on her first, and then has scratched her second and third attempts. So I hope she's not injured.
Yeah, and I'm not sure. I mean, here's the thing, Joe. She's forecasted in second place in the juniors. I don't think she'd be passing those if she wasn't hurt.
Right. And Camilla Todd, it looked like she had a little difficulty getting that one locked out, and so she got 2 red lights on her second attempt bench at 145. We'll probably see her repeat that number. Though we'll see what gets turned in. Up now is Viviana Flores at 165 kilograms.
Yeah, I mean, she really didn't have a chance of catching Sarah Davis.
Right.
But, she's still in the running for the silver. And she's still in the running to be able to make the team. So, again, I think there might be an injury there. I hope we're mistaken, but.
Well, she still has a deadlift showing, so.
Yeah, she may just take that, but I'm talking about passing the.
Right, yeah. I'm
bench.
just wondering
Maybe she
if.
tweaked the shoulder or something.
You certainly don't want to see anybody get hurt, but it might be one of those things where, you get a bench in to stay in the contest and then not press your luck, literally and figuratively.
Right.
To make sure you don't get hurt, so that you can get the deadlift in to stay in the contest and,
when I
have
won
a successful meet.
The last meet that I won was the American Open Championships in 2007, Joe. I opened with 65 kilos raw. My shoulder was bad from the start of the neck stuff. And then I threw on a big shirt because I couldn't do it in my tight shirt and just hit a comfortable, 125 or something. And then I think I passed my third.
Right.
Because I knew. So there may be something, going on like that also.
Yep.
There's a few meets where I just took the 65 and passed on second and third.
Yep. And Viviana Flores was unsuccessful at 165 kilograms. And Becky Holcomb's now up at 182.5, and again followed by Bonica at a monster 210.
182.5. Sarah Boland's up 90 kilos. She missed us on our opener, 198 pounds.
And Becky Holcomb's 182.5 was solid. Moved up really easily. She got a blue card from the chief referee, so that blue card is either down to remove it during the course of the lift or elbows not locked at the start or finish. From my perspective, it looked like the elbows were locked, so there may have been a little bit of bobble, during pressing it out that the chief referee called, but the side referees didn't notice.
See, you know what it looks like, Joe? When I just watched the replay of Becky's, when she came up and got the press command, everything was fine. She was locked, the bar went straight up. However, when she was going down, the bar was going up and down, and I almost wonder if that was the call, because that's not a that up and down doesn't work until after the press command starts.
Yeah,
so,
during course of pressing it out. So,
and that happens too. That's why there's 3 referees, and that's why there's 3 jury members.
Yep. And we have seen some attempts that have been overturned by the jury, sometimes from a different perspective. And our best referees are sitting in the jury, and they have the advantage of being able to look in retrospect at a lift and judge it. While the referees who are on the sitting in the seats, they got to judge each lift and judge the next lifter that's coming up, and judge the next lifter that's coming up. There's no ability to conference and think about the call, which the jury has.
There's no time to pause to consider.
Right.
Now, with Bonika's attempt, I really think that that her 210 looked fairly easy, and it'd be interesting to see. I'm going to go back and see what she's going to put in for that.
And we're starting third attempts on platform 2, so in about 10 minutes we'll take another 30-minute break so those ladies can get ready for deadlift.
All right.
So we'll be concentrating on platform 1 once the platform 2 is done.
Correct. Yeah, and so Bonika's put in 2:15.5, which will break her own American record in the bench.
And actually, that's quite a modest jump from the 210.
I think so, but that's where the record is. So I think she just wants to extend the record.
Yep.
Could she take a shot at Hoogdahl? Yeah, but I think she'll hold off till Dubai, and do that in front of the big crowd.
And Lori Kolakowski was unfortunately unable to get a good lift in on bench press, so she had 3 misses at 80 kilograms. She got yellow lights on all of those, so it wasn't a red light for not being able to touch her chest. It wasn't a blue light for up and down. Yellow light meant something else. So head, butt, foot movement, but there's some other part of the lift that didn't meet the description of a successful lift in the rule book.
That's just and I really fail. I really feel for Kolakowski. It's rough. I mean, she did so well in the squat, 150, 170, 160, 170. The bench just didn't work, and sometimes the gear, especially in the bench, we don't see it as much as we used to, because the bench rules have been, I would say, normalized to make it more fair for the athletes. But it still is probably the place where we see the most bomb outs, I think, is in the bench press. The gear is just very hard to work with.
Bench used to be, and the gear just makes it difficult. Mastering a shirt is really a very, very technical skill, and we've seen some other folks who just who are uncertain about their ability to master the shirt, and they'll do their opening bench unequipped, just wearing wrist straps and a T-shirt to get that one bench in to guarantee they stay in the contest. And sometimes that's a decent strategy if your other 2 lifts are strong enough.
Yeah.
And we've seen some people win contests simply by doing that.
Well, certainly in a bench-only meet, I think I might open raw, because sometimes, I remember 2004 in Killeen, of the 275s and the supers at that time, the other weight class, the 125 and the 125 plus, 3/4 of the lifters did not record a good lift.
Right, and that's just that razor's edge of performance that you need to be on to perform at your maximum level. But there's just no margin for error. If you're outside the groove, the weight's not going to move, or you just can't lock it out.
Right.
And in fact, that's what we saw an awful lot is the bar will pop off the chest, but then that transition from the, where the bench shirt stops helping you and you got to finish the lift with tricep strength, that transition, lifters get stuck about 15 degrees from getting their arms straight, and it just can't finish that lift from there.
Yep. Katie Dodge is up on 2 now with 125. And again, so Katie missed at 122.5, and she's just going up a little bit to 125. Again, probably trying to work the shirt a little bit better. So let's Let's see if this is a little bit better for Caitli.
It looks like Laura Sterling was successful on platform with an American record on for the women's M2 84 kilogram class. She was successful at 131 kilograms, and she's a long-time lifter and a very experienced lifter, and mastery of the shirt certainly showed on that lift.
So it looks like what Caitli did is put in she missed that second, put in 2.5 kilos to raise it, just to leave time for everybody else, because it looks like she's going to time out on this lift.
Okay, Elliot called that one 100% correct.
Yeah.
So that 125 is going through, and now we'll see Rebecca Meester at 130 kilos. All the rest of our lifters on the platform 2 have gotten at least one successful bench. So we'll see see how these ladies finish out.
Boy, we got some big benches coming up here. After Rebecca, the next 5 lifters are well above 300 pounds. All of them. All right, so it's 3 white lights for Meester.
Okay, Camilla Todd's now coming up at 147.5. Just 2.5 kilos more than at 145. She struggled to get that 145 locked out under control last time.
All right,
so
Megan Ahern's up on 2. She was good at 67.5, good at 72.5. Now gone up 5 kilos, 77.5. And it's just no good for her. Sarah Boland's up now, 92.5. Interesting. Let's see if.
Okay, Camilla Todd's getting the handoff at 147.5. As I said, she struggled a little bit with 145 on her previous attempt. Getting a good controlled drop. And that one moved out pretty well. And if she got all the way to arm's length, that should be a good lift. And she got 3 white lights on that. So struggled at 145, and it had a very solid looking 147.5.
And again, sometimes you're going to see this. That 2.5 kilos helps both in the squat. 5 kilos is probably better in a squat suit,
right,
but where you need to literally get down with it, and sometimes it helps your control.
Andrea Page will be up at 150 kilos. She was successful at 145 on her previous attempt. And then we'll be looking at our last 3 lifters of the 84 kilogram plus ladies. Viviana Flores, Rebecca Holcomb, and Bonica Brown.
Yeah, in the squat and bench press, equipped, more weight. If you're a really good lifter and your technique is good, more weight should make you more stable. And that's kind of where the thing is. You need to throw more weight on for that stability. All right, so Viviana had missed, Andrea Page missed 150 at kilos. That's 330 pounds. We're loading now 165 for Viviana Flores. She missed it on her second.
The bar is loaded, platform 2, Viviana Flores, 363-pound bench. Sarah Boland. Scroll back. You're jumping ahead 1. This is Sarah Boland, not Jerry Ferguson. Control room, scroll back to Sarah.
You know, it's been obvious for years, Joe. I mean, obviously, the start of bodybuilding, everything, this was called physical culture back in the 30s and 40s and even into the 50s. And so it was obvious to people the benefits to the male body. You know, people who worked out just looked better or considered more masculine. I think that powerlifting and weightlifting, the explosion of women in those sports, Joe, has changed the view of that. And it's also everybody is able to celebrate now the effects that it has on the female body too.
Right.
I think, and if nothing else, it is scientifically proven to help fight off osteoporosis.
Yeah, there was a DEXA scan machine that measures bone density that was both at the at Women's Nationals when it was held in Cleveland, I think in 2010, 2011, but a while ago. And then they also had that DEXA scan machine in place at Raw Nationals or Open Nationals in Spokane last year. And I remember specifically when they did the testing of female lifters in Cleveland that there was not a single female master lifter who had bone density that was lower than for average females in their 20s.
Right.
And there were a number of ladies who had started powerlifting at the advice of their doctors, or started resistance training, not specifically powerlifting, started resistance training at the advice of their doctors because they had osteoporosis and they were trying to fend off the effects of that osteoporosis. After a couple years of strength training, resistance training, and powerlifting, they were now off all medications and had bone density better than 20-year-old females.
All right. So Bonica Brown's coming up here to take 215.5, which will exceed her own American record in the bench press. I mean, now the latest scientific literature says the only two ways to truly reverse osteoporosis: one, alkalize the blood, neutralize the blood a little bit more and get the acidity out. Because how do we balance out acidity, Joe, in the human body? Calcium, right? I mean, it's what Tums are made of. It's how we neutralize acid in the body. Where is calcium stored in the body, Joe?
In the bones.
In the bones. So basically, if we're taking calcium supplements, all we're doing is taking a bucket with multiple holes in it and pouring more water into it instead of patching the bucket.
Right.
The other thing they've shown that resistance training improves bone density. It's one of the reasons that, if you look at swimmers, right, whose bodies are supported, their bone density is actually exceedingly low, and it's a danger for them.
Right, they're like astronauts who've been in space for 6 months.
Correct.
And both Kathy and I were Master 3 lifters. Our bone densities were checked at by the DEXA scan machine at Nationals last year in Spokane. My bone density was 4.5 standard deviations above the average for somebody my body weight, and not even including age. So that means I got the bones of a 20-year-old.
Right.
And I've just been plugging away at powerlifting. I'm a fairly decent lifter, but not nothing phenomenal. But been plugging away, and the long-term benefits mean that I have nice, solid bones. I'm not going to break a hip walking up or down stairs in the next, during the remainder of my life.
Based on the ease, while Joe and I were talking, you saw a very easy American record. I think Bonica could have exceeded the world record today. But again, that world record can only be set at the World Championship.
Right.
So she just wanted to come in here and extend her own American record.
Right.
I think she's going to take a shot at Hildebor in Hildebor Hugdal from Norway in Dubai. It should be an interesting. If both of them are there, it'll be a nice, interesting battle.
We've been making the analogies to horse races. We were talking about Secretariat yesterday, and what comes to mind is Seabiscuit, from a long, long time ago. And one of the stories about Seabiscuit is when he raced, I think it was Man of War in a match race, and they said once Seabiscuit looked his competition in the eye, there was no way he was going to lose.
Correct.
And so I think for a lot of our real top-end lifters, being matched against your closest competition is what brings out your best performance.
Correct.
And it's mental and physical preparation, and that head-to-head match where you're competing against somebody who's very, very close to you, that usually is what brings out the best in you. So, at this contest, lifters taking less than their personal best is not an indication that they're not fighting for a great performance here, but they know that the real head-to-head contest is what's coming up down the road.
Correct.
And that's where not only the physical preparation, but the psychological motivation of the contest, brings out the best.
I stopped lifting at local meets fairly early on because I didn't have to get as up for it. It was more like a workout for me.
Right.
but you're right. Looking in somebody else's eye and being locked in a battle is what you need to do.
Right.
I don't want to ever be complacent in competition.
And that's where I think, just because of the sequence of our sport, squat, bench press, and deadlift, the big deadlifters have that advantage of, being able to pull into the lead literally, on that second and third deadlift and pull ahead of their competition. They've got the ability to come from somewhere back in the pack and beat somebody to the finish line. And if we did our sport, if we started with deadlift and finished up with squat, then the big squatters would, be in that same position.
Right. So right now, let's see what's going on here on platform. Okay. Laura Stryland's up now 136.5. So this is another attempt at an American record here for her.
And she was successful on her second attempt, and this will finish up third attempt benches for the 84 kilogram ladies. And then we'll start into the second flight of the 84 kilogram ladies, which is for the most part all the open lifters. I think there might be one or two folks in here who are also competing in an age group, but they are, we've got one junior lifter in the second flight.
Right. So we're also going to take on platform 2, guys. We're going to take a break. It's about a half an hour break between bench and deadlift so that the women can warm up. We'll be concentrating on platform 1 until they come back.
American record attempt. Let's see some graphics. 300 pounds on the nose. American record attempt. There's the graphics. 300 pounds. And ladies and gentlemen, that is another
New American record. There you go.
And so we'll be starting off on the flight B, starting with 80 kilograms, and followed by Deanna Gerdsmeyer and Jonna Briannon after that.
All right, so Sarah Green's going to be up first, 80 kilos on the bar. Wow. Press looked easy, man.
It was nice to see a good bounce back after a very rough start at the squat for Sarah. Sarah's successful on her opening bench. Deanna Gerdsmeyer up now at 90 kilograms. She'll be followed by Jonna Briannon at 90 kilograms also. And all of these ladies in the second flight here are competing in the open division. And we've got one lifter, Sarah Davis, that's also competing in the junior division. And her only competition in the junior division is Talia Ramirez, who finished in the first flight and just took one bench. So we're going to see what Talia does in deadlift. Deanna Gerdsmeyer was good at 90 kilograms. Jonna Briannon is up now at 90 kilograms, followed by Manoy Bland at 112.5 kilograms.
Coached by Kenny Jack the Ripper.
That was a nice, easy opener. It's the kind of opener you want to see for 90 kilograms at Jonna Briannon. Good lift. Monet Bland is now up at 112.5 kilograms, and she'll be followed by Kyle Lowe at 145. Bars loaded for Monet. And Monet's on the board with a good bench at 112.5. Kyle Lowe's coming up now at 145 kilograms. Sarah Davis will be following her at 152.5. And we've got about 15 minutes before we start up on deadlift on platform 2. And just as I look through the attempts that are left over here on bench press for platform 1, we should be starting deadlift on both platforms at pretty close to the same time. Kyle Lowe was successful at 145. Sarah Davis is now up at 152.5, and she'll be followed by Sarah Roddick at 160, and finally Natalie Hansen at 182.5. Real slow drop for Sarah here on the bench. Touching at the highest point of the abdomen. Press signal and looking struggling, you know, maybe not struggling, but working hard to get it locked out. Oh, and looks like that left elbow collapsed right before lockout. Pretty sure she'll come back and get that one. So a miss at 152.5 for Sarah, and going to raise the bar to 160 for Sarah Roddick. Natalie Hansen will follow Sarah Roddick at 182.5.
Sarah Roddick, 352.7 pounds, bars loaded for Sarah.
It's actually a little easier to view and commentate on the individual lifts now that only one platform is going. So we can concentrate here a little bit more and analyze the lifts a little bit better for you guys than watching at home. And we got two whites and a red there for Sarah Roddick, so a successful lift in there. She'll be followed now by Natalie Hansen at 182.5, and then we'll start back over at the beginning of the lift with the beginning of the bench press lifters with Sarah Green at 85 kilograms. Okay, Natalie just crushed her squat, so let's see what happens here on the bench presses.
She's opening at 182.5. Her personal best is 191.5. And she set that in Pilsen.
What's unusual is there's not one I haven't seen one SBD singlet on any of the females. It didn't pop
slow.
up real fast, but looked controlled and solid. So
I think
3
her
white
second
lights.
attempt
So
is going to look better.
a successful bench is in there, and again, we know from watching people in shirts that depending on what the weight is and where the bubble is, sometimes what looks like a difficult effort, you add some more weight, and the next one just jumps off your chest. So
yeah,
we'll see what happens.
And she's a smart lifter. She's talented. Two-time world champion, 17 and 18. She's being coached by James Townsend, the head coach for the women's team, the winning gold medal women's team from last year, and by Bryce Lewis, who is the reigning 105 kilo classic world champion. I mean, I definitely think more weight on there is going to make it look better, Joe. It's going to be easier down to her chest.
In fact, the hard part of that lift may have been pulling it down to the chest with that weight.
It's a lot of weight, man.
And that one fell off the bubble there for Sarah Green. And, Elliot did a great explanation of it rolling off that Bosu ball, and this time it started heading towards the head. And that's the reason we got the spotter bars in there on bench press, is to ensure that if our spotter loaders can't catch the bar, and they've been doing an outstanding job, that we still maintain the safety of the lifter. So John O'Brien's up now at 95 kilograms.
So guys, we got about 9.5 minutes. We're going to be returning to platform 2 for the start of the deadlifts. And as everybody knows, the meet doesn't start till the bar hits the floor. You can do everything right in the squat and the bench press. You make a mistake in the deadlift, you can go home.
John O'Brien's lift was just crushed there. She just smoked 95 kilograms. Nice, smooth, solid lift. Up now is Deanna Gerdsmeyer at 100 kilograms.
All right, Deanna Gerdsmeyer's up now. Gerdsmeyer's up at 100 kilos, 220 pounds. Your Tennessee State chair, coached by Wade Johnson. Trains at the Ogre compound.
And there was a good solid second attempt there. 3 white lights. Monet Bland up now at 117.5.
And, we watched Monet squat, and she's a great squatter. She's a decent bencher, but wait till she deadlifts, folks.
And I'm looking down towards the forecasted totals to see if we're going to have any, head-to-head shootouts in the lifting. And it looks like, if the lifters in the top, 3 or 4 positions are reasonably successful, it doesn't look like there's going to be any head-to-head shootouts there. But for some of the other places, there are a number of lifters that are pretty close in total lifting. And Monet is good, 3 white lights. Sarah Davis is up now at 155. She had a real slow drop on the 152.5, and then it looked like the left elbow just collapsed before she got to lockout. So, a moderate jump from 152.5 to 155, and we'll see if that change in weight and maybe just getting a little bit better set into the gear
helps her a little
will affect how this lift moves. Because she had a very slow drop to the chest, and sometimes that means the shirt is, you're just not locked in exactly on the shirt.
Well, I'd like to say, give a quick shout out there right now to Sarah's mom, if she's out there listening. I know that you were so proud of her last year at Texas A&M,
and this is
right there where she graduated from, winning her championship. So, and Mom, Sarah owes me $20, so if you could get her to give it to me, I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. She's kind of stiffing me, so anyway.
And for Carlo, that one it popped off the chest, then came right back down. So unsuccessful there for Kyle, but she was good at 145 kilograms, and now Sarah Davis is up. And as we said before, she's taken a 2.5 kilogram jump from her opener that just wasn't able to get quite locked out. So we'll see what happens on this one.
Strong push by Sarah.
Looked like she got those elbows out locked before, or when she wasn't able to do that on her last attempt. So she's successful at 155. The lift looked very much the same as her 152.5 kilogram attempt, except was able to get the elbows locked out this time.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see where she goes with this. I know what she was looking for coming in, but I think that opening attempt kind of might have changed her mind a little bit.
Yeah, and at the same time, you get successful on this one, and now you might be able to get back on track. You know,
right.
You know, that first, when you have a miss like that, especially on your opener, it kind of shakes your confidence a little bit. And when you get back in the contest, sometimes you can get back on track. So she's jumping up to 160, and that's a pretty moderate jump. I don't know what she was hoping for, but going 155 to 160 seems
yeah, she wanted
a reasonable jump for how successful she was on her second attempt.
Our PR is 165, which she was looking to try to do a little bit better than that. But, missing the opener a little bit kind of cost her. So I think that the 160 for her third attempt is going to go a lot better than even the second attempt did. That looked a little slow, a little hard getting it down to her chest.
Right.
I'm willing to bet that 160 is going to fly off her chest.
All right. Sarah Roddick was successful here at 165, and now got Natalie Hanson finishing up second attempts. This is 187.5.
1 minute to change your openers. Light A, platform 2. 1 minute to change your openers.
And this 187.5 bench for Natalie is as heavy as all but one of the 84-plus kilogram lifters lifted.
Right.
So that tells you how dominant Natalie is on bench press in this 84-kilogram weight class.
Right, and seeing how dominant Natalie is in the 84s, that's how dominant Kelsey McCarthy is in the 72s.
Right.
And guys, they're not just dominant here.
Right.
They're dominant. They're both world champion, world record holders in multiple disciplines.
So Natalie was successful at 187.5, and now Sarah Green is starting third attempts at 85 kilograms.
And the women's setup here, especially the last few lifters. I mean, you look at Natalie, especially Natalie and Sarah, have just amazing setups on that bench.
Right.
So watch them on their third attempts. It is just absolutely amazing how stable they are. Watch their base, and once they get set, dig in their hips and dig in their shoulders, nothing moves except the bar and their arms.
Right.
For those of you that remember were into physical fitness in the 80s, you might remember the Nautilus machine, the pullover machine, the rotary pullover machine. That's kind of the way an equipped bench works, folks, if you think about it, right? You come down to your chest and then push it back up and around and back into the rack.
Right. Though with the really wide grip and very high chest arch, that range of motion is a very short stroke. So I would say in some ways it's really hard to tell if there's any curve at all to it. It's in fact, the shorter the stroke, the more linear it is. It touches the chest and
correct. Well, that's true.
It touches the chest, but most of the time, or it touches the abdomen. The lower you touch on the abdomen, though, the more that bar, instead of traveling vertically up from the touch point,
Yes.
it moves from the touch point, which is close to your belly button, up towards your shoulders. And so there's almost as much horizontal travel as vertical travel from the touch point to the lockout on bench press, depending on the arch. So if you watch where these ladies have the bar, at the handoff, and watch how much it translates towards their feet as they lower the bar, towards their abdomen, it might be a good 6-8 inches of horizontal travel.
All right, in about a minute, we're getting ready to start deadlifts on platform 2. Right now, we're up here on platform A, platform 1. And it's interesting too. They did a study, and it's easy to do these studies today, that elite bench pressers come straight down and then go up and back.
Right.
Non-elite bench pressers curve down and then press up straight. The other thing that they found,
those range of motion studies, I would venture to guess, though, are more for unequipped lifters than equipped lifters, because I think that the equipment changes that range of motion very dramatically.
A little bit. But the interestingly enough, too, for even elite bench pressers, whether historically you take somebody like an Ed Cohn or Mike Bridges, who were historically great for years, that their bar path on the press, Joe, must alter for them to increase their bench press. Over time, they've taken the films and digitized them, and their form is always changing as their bench is increasing.
And that makes perfect sense. Probably you recruit more muscle, and become more efficient.
Correct.
And so that's one of the reasons that they we do so much analysis. Usain Bolt's one of the fastest sprinters in the world, but it's not just his leg turnover time. His contact time with the ground, the position of his legs where he's moving. Those things are very, very determinant on how well an athlete, or how fast an athlete sprints.
Correct. All right, so Monet was good at the 122.5. It was very easy for her. She went 3 for 3. She's pacing herself. She went 112.5, up 5 kilos to 117.5, then up another 5 kilos to 122.5. So that puts her where she is. We're going to see a lot bigger jumps, folks, in her deadlift.
Right.
But she's just trying to go 3 for 3.
Okay, we had a miss there for Kyle Lowe at 150 kilograms. It started up off her chest, but just wasn't going to finish, and the spotter loaders, took it to keep her safe.
Now,
We're going to Sarah Davis at 160 kilograms.
And Sarah's coming up here now, so let's see. We had discussed that, that the 155 was a little bit slow. Was it 155, I believe?
Yeah.
Take a look. And the 155 was a little slow. So my anticipation here is that I don't know if she's going to make the 160 or not, but that the 160 is going to look easier coming down than the 155
get to her chest more quickly. And they changed the camera angle on us, so we're not sitting out in front watching the lifting live. We're actually watching the live feed camera. So whereas our last look was looking at it from the side, we're looking at it now from the head of the bench. So our perspective on this thing is changed significantly. And yeah, that did seem faster down to the chest. And she's right about the point where her elbows wouldn't quite get locked before.
It's not happening.
And you see the left elbow beginning to
not
fail a
therefore.
little bit.
But
so it was close, but it actually looked a lot like the two previous lifts in terms of the difficult point of the lift, which was locking out the elbows after that initial touch. And
and I think for her, again, I think that missed opening attempt takes it out of you a little bit, because I feel that misses hurt worse than completed lifts. You complete a lift, no matter how heavy and how much of a grind it is, it feels good. The shock to the body to catastrophically miss a lift, like not completing it, is just huge.
Yep. And psychologically, this sport is certainly about mind and body, and if your head just isn't into it, you're just not going to be able to perform at your peak. And a missed attempt there is always tough to deal with. And we're opening up on deadlifts on platform 2. Sarah Roddick was successful, 3 for 3 on bench, so she went 160, 165, 170 on bench press.
Right.
Now Natalie Hansen's taken 192, so this will be an American record attempt.
Right.
192 for Natalie Hansen.
So that's going to extend her own American record by a half a kilo and also eclipse her existing world record of 191.5. She won't get credit for it here as a world record. But again, you know, part of this is putting the world on notice that you're still around.
Yep. And we've been talking a lot about the bench, but we're already 4 deadlifts into deadlifts on the 84 plus kilogram ladies on platform 2. Viviana Flores is now taking the floor at 175 kilograms.
Right.
Oh, and actually this looks like Camilla Todd walking out here. So my computer hadn't updated yet.
And after Natalie makes this bench press here, we're going to take a 10-minute break and then come back and deadlift, and you'll see Flight A on platform 1. All right,
Yeah.
looks like a new American record in the
Looked like
bench
she
press.
worked that one out for the lockout.
All right, so Natalie's bench press obviously is still going well. Her squat isn't quite where she wanted it. She's got the new American record and eclipsed her own world record in the bench press. So we're going to take a 10-minute break here and then come back with Flight A for deadlifting on platform 1. Joe and I now will be able to concentrate on platform 2 for a little while.
And we're about halfway through the opening attempts, platform 2 deadlifts for the 84 plus kilogram ladies. Camilla Todd was successful at 175.
And our last 3 deadlifters here are just massive.
Yep. And look for Becky Holcomb to put up, pull some astounding numbers here.
Oh, definitely she wants to.
Yep. And Katie Dodge was successful at 175 on deadlift. Andrea Page is opening up at 182.5.
You know, and Becky she doesn't know if she's going to be able to go to Open Worlds or not, because Bonika's definitely going to get that slot.
Right.
But we also have, obviously, the wild card slot, that 8th position, but there also may be alternates you go to.
Right.
So she may still have her shot, but I think she'd like to see if she could at least eclipse the deadlift here, which I believe
Right.
is 270 or 271. She's opening at 252.5.
And certainly, while Becky may not be able to catch Bonica, the best total that she can get here improves her chances of filling that 8th team slot, because that's going to be based on how many team points we think a lifter can get. There's what's called a Carpino system, where they look at what a lifter totaled and compare it to what they would have, how they would have placed in previous world championships, and they choose our team alternates and rank our team alternates that way, looking at the person who can gain us the most team points.
All right, so Hannah Brown was good at 200 kilos, 440 pounds. Now, look at this. Bonica Brown opening at 529, 240 kilos. 529, folks. And then Bonica's going to be followed by Becky Holcomb, taking a big number, 557. For those of you watching at home, you were seeing a heck of a show here. When you see on camera how this setup works here with the screens and the 2 platforms, it looks absolutely amazing. They have done a great job. And this is the first big national meet that's been run by the organization, I believe in the history of the organization, Joe, where there has not been an outside meet director. And this is a big thing for this organization. And it's been so big That's why the Arnold Sports Festival every March in Columbus has been so big for us, because this is where we were able to acquire the skills and the talent and the equipment to be able to do
Right,
this.
you know, in fact, the broadcast room that we're sitting in, I'm counting the monitors, and there's about 15 monitors around us as we're sitting here doing the broadcasting. You know, there's the scoring screens, the live video screens, the editing screens, all of the control screens, you know, because what you see on the live stream is being processed and controlled and mixed, you know, for sound and putting the lifter's name in there and the lights in on the program. All of those things are all done electronically behind the scenes, and so the support staff to make an event like this work is just phenomenal.
Yep.
And here's that opening pull for Rebecca Holcomb, and that just cruised off the floor.
Yeah,
easily.
it was so easy for her. She's definitely
Yep.
going to go for Gementeltova's world record.
All right. And so that brings us back down to the opening attempt or opening lifts on deadlift 2. Christina Skirto at 142.5.
I mean, she definitely has 271 in her. And that deadlift was set, that 270.5 was set in Stavanger, Norway in 2013. We'll be back there next year for Open Worlds. One of my favorite places in the world, Stavanger, Norway. Guys, and if you think Norway's cold, you're an American out there listening, Stavanger, even as far north as they are, their weather is almost exactly the same as Philadelphia on a day-to-day basis. Not only that, it is a beach resort and where they open the World Volleyball Tour every year. So folks, if you think Norway's cold, you think Sweden's cold, get a clue, folks.
And it definitely is the land of the midnight sun if you're up there in the summertime.
Oh, yeah. One of my goals, Joe, is to actually ship my motorcycle up there to Norway and then go with Dietmar Wolf, who loves to ride, and just ride the country one summer.
Okay, we got deadlift 2 going on platform 2. Deadlifts Christina Skirto and Lori Kolakowski were both successful on their second attempt deadlifts. Sue Halen's out there now at 147.5.
I think for me, and I'm not sure why, but Scandinavia in general, so Sweden, Denmark, Norway, Finland, well, not Finland as much, but Iceland, the Scandinavian countries, it's like my favorite part of the world, and I'm not sure why. But there's just something about it that's very inviting. I love the food.
Yep.
Just something very inviting about the people there.
Okay, Sue Halen was successful at 147.5. Rebecca Meester's up at 182.5, and we're moving up into the 400-pound range on deadlifts here. And platform 1, we got about 3 minutes before they get started on deadlift. So we'll have about 10, 12 minutes where both platforms are deadlifting, and then we'll be able to concentrate on platform 1 deadlifts. Okay, Rebecca Meester was successful at 182.5. Camilla Todd's repeating at 182.5, same weight. And we'll have a small jump to 187.5 for Viviana Flores.
We got the Girl Scouts of America in the back that are selling their cookies.
Gino, our announcer, just said the Girl Scouts of America are in the back of the venue selling Girl Scout cookies. You know, for any of us who have ever cut weight for a contest, that's just wrong.
It's just really
Yeah,
really
really,
bad.
really wrong.
Yeah,
Girl Scouts selling cookies.
it's not a good thing. Because both you and I in our weight classes, Joe, we're both fairly lean compared to a lot of the competitors we compete against. It's really not fair.
Well, I'm cheating a little bit this year, or not cheating this year, but last time I competed, I was at 66 kilograms, and I'm stuck between the 66 and 74 kilogram classes, about halfway between. But
right.
I measure in at a fairly low percentage of body fat, so squeezing down to 66 is difficult. And
right.
And so going to Raw Worlds in Sweden this year, I'm just I'm chubbing out to somewhere between 70 and 74 kilograms to compete at that weight class. So
right.
traveling, I'll be able to eat when I want to instead of just looking at the food as it goes by.
All right, so Viviana Flores was good there at 187.5. She is your junior national champion and has the opportunity to go to Canada for Junior Worlds if she wants. She's also your bronze medalist, your presumptive bronze medalist here. So it's pretty good. She's having a decent day. Maybe not what she wanted, but she's doing where she needs to be. Platform 1, we're starting up again in about 1 minute. Andrea Page is up now, 195 kilos.
And Katie Dodge will be lifting 195 kilograms also. And then we'll be finishing up with Hannah, Bonica, and Rebecca.
The lift is good. Referees report to platform 1. Referees report to platform 1. Check out. Come on, Dodge. Let's light this up. 429, it's lightweight. Do it your way, Katie. Do it your way. Lift is not good. She had some little up and down on the bar, blue card. Give her a round of applause.
Had a blue card on that one for up and down on the bar, so Katie Dodge was not successful at 195, going to 215. And she'll be followed by Bonica at 252, and then finally Rebecca Holcomb at 265.5 for an American record.
We got all our referees. Is the bar loaded? We got 2 of our 3 referees.
Getting set to kick off on platform number 1 for deadlift.
Huh.
And that'll be Abigail Krieger kicking off the 84 kilogram ladies on platform 1.
We got Hannah Brown coming out on platform 2.
And Hannah was unsuccessful there at 215. The weight just came a couple inches off the floor. Looked like she got her hips a little too high and just was not able to finish out that lift.
Yeah, so it looks like, Bonica's coming out now at 252.5. Becky Holcomb's put in 265.5. It's going to extend her own American record.
Right.
And I'm willing to bet her next shot, if she makes this, is 271.5 to eclipse that Komentadova's world record that she set.
Record. Got a successful deadlift on platform 1 for Abigail Krieger, so that's a good start. She'll be followed by Elisa Saunders at the same weight, and then Jill Arno. Okay, Bonica's first attempt was very, very solid, very easy. This is a 12.5 kilo jump. And when Bonica's on, none of her lifts look like she struggles. It always looks like there's more left in the tank, so she's a lot of fun to watch. And that one moved up with no problems also.
Yeah, nothing.
Good lockout at the top. And
that was real easy.
And 3 white lights as expected. And now for the big jump for an American record at 265.5 for Rebecca Holcomb.
Becky Holcomb coming up with an American record attempt, 585.3 pounds. Jill Arno, 308. Becky Holcomb, an American record attempt. We're going to get the chalk off the bar.
And we had a request on platform 2 to get the bar cleaned up so that lifters got the best chance to hold on. Looks like Jill Arno was successful at 140 kilograms on platform 1. They're finishing up cleaning the bar for Rebecca Holcomb, second attempt at 265.5 to eclipse the American record. And as Elliot said, if successful on this, we expect her to take an attempt at an unofficial world record here. So Rebecca's out here, getting her feet set. Oh, and a nice, easy, solid lockout for Rebecca on platform 2. So that's an American record. Rolling back to the beginning of the flight for 150 kilograms for Laurie Kolakowski.
All right, so we've had something interesting happen here, Joe. Natalie Hanson had benched, what did she bench, 191? 190.5. Well, don't look in there because it's not correct. It's different now. What happened was Leanne Blinn had the American record at 192.5. Not sure how, but the scoring table let Natalie put in an attempt of either it was 190.5 or 191, whatever it was. So it was under that record. You're not allowed to chip that record. So she has been reduced to the next lowest 2.5, so she's been reduced to 190. So it changes her bench, it changes her subtotal, and it's going to change her total.
By a half a kilo, right?
But I believe, if my memory serves me, it was either by a half or 1 kilo.
Okay.
For whatever reason, I'm not remembering that. But, so anyway, that's something that happened there, so.
National champion.
And that's, well, the coaches need to be careful when they make their submissions, and scoring table should be careful too.
Yeah, and I should have picked that up myself.
Yeah, Laurie Kolakowski was unsuccessful at 150 kilograms on her third attempt deadlift. It's going to 155 for Christina Skirto. And actually, I say, how do folks miss that? Well, to make our national championships the show that they are, with the announcer and the music and everything else, it's not always in an ideal venue for keeping track of every single number that's being submitted. So
yeah, so Leanne set that at 192.5 at our nationals last year in Spokane. Funny thing is that Leanne totaled more, I think, totaled more at that meet than Natalie, but Leanne just competed as a master. So if you're going to make our open team, you have to compete as an open and a master to do both. Leanne actually, I believe, I'll have to check the record, but beat Natalie, but because she didn't register as an open,
right,
didn't get that open team slot. So folks, if you're at a meet and you're deciding if you're going to go open and master, go both, folks.
Yeah, check both folks. Yeah. Well, that's like going in and lifting, and somebody decides, oh well, I'm going in the 93 kilogram class open, and they enter the open and they don't realize that David Ricks is lifting as a Master 3 lifter.
Right. Exactly.
Okay, Sue Halen out there at 157.5 kilograms for her third attempt deadlift. She's working a day that's 6 for 8, and got some shakes there right before the lockout. Looks like she finally got it locked out. And they called that shake in at the top, up and down motion. Well, it wasn't quite hitching it. It wasn't a solid pull from floor to the lockout. And so she got 2 reds. Up now is Rebecca Meester at 195 kilograms. She'll be followed by Camilla Todd at 195 kilograms.
Yeah, so Natalie totaled 660, and let me see where.
Give her a round of applause. Come on, give me fuel, give me fire,
Okay.
Talia.
Had no lift for Rebecca Meister, and now Camilla Todd's coming out at the same weight at 195 kilograms. She'll be followed by Andrea Page at 200 kilograms.
Yeah, so Leanne totaled 660.5.
Loaded, Camilla Todd.
So would have beaten her by a half kilo.
429 for Corolla. 5.1 lift is good.
And not only that, would have beaten her on last pull an American record deadlift. So, but anyway, so that's the way that goes.
Well, the meet's not over yet, so while Natalie, couldn't take the or lost that half a kilo on bench press, there's still deadlift coming. So there's an interesting finish to this contest.
Yep.
Yeah, because Natalie Hansen's forecasted at 6:55 right now, just based on openers. Got Andrea Page going 200 kilograms on her final deadlift. Looked like she got that one locked out straight at the top. Referees agree. Got 2 whites.
Now
Katie Dodge will be coming up now at, Viviana Flores is coming up now at 2:02.5, and she'll be followed by Katie Dodge at the same weight, 2:02.5.
Now, to be fair, Joe, Leanne would have had to pull 230 instead of 228 to win, because 228 was an M1A record,
right?
Which she wouldn't have been able to chip to 228. She would have had to go 230. But point is,
right,
it still was there.
Right. Absolutely.
Twisted lifters on 1. Lift is good on 1. Viviana Flores, the lift is
Viviana Flores successful at 2:02.5, followed by Katie Dodge at 2:02.5.
303 on 1. Here comes Katie Dodge on 2.
And again, to want to say hi to Leanne Blinn. She had surgery on a shoulder and an elbow. For years, she had issues. The elbow would lock; it would go as far as it would go, but it wasn't. It was getting a little worse every year. At some point, she wasn't going to get credit.
Posting the bone chunks that they took out of her elbow.
Yep. She'd never. I don't believe she'd ever gotten a red light for it, but she knew over time.
Right.
So just might as well get it done. So
and that was an unsuccessful lift for Katie Dodge at 2:02.5, going to 2:15 for Hannah Brown, and then our final 2 lifters on the 84 plus kilogram platform will be Bonica and Rebecca. And Rebecca is Elliot Surmise put in a 271 third attempt deadlift, and that will eclipse the world record. So this will be an unofficial world record pull for Rebecca Holcomb.
Well, I mean, she wants to take Gomentadova's back. I mean, back, but she wants to exceed what she did in Stavanger.
Yep.
And I was there to see that lift. It was pretty. It was a pretty amazing lift. As a matter of fact, Joe, most of the open men's and world records that have been that are existing, I've seen. I've been lucky enough to be there. It's a pretty, I consider myself very blessed to be able to do this. Obviously, not making a living at it, but to at least do this as part of my life.
Yep.
All right. So Hannah Brown, just not the way she wanted to go out, but she's where she is, right? And then we have right now Becky Holcomb coming up, Bonica Brown, and then Becky Holcomb, and then we'll be concentrating for the rest of the morning session on Flight 1, folks, on Platform 1.
Laura Sterling's, she had 1 miss on squat, but otherwise she's been really successful over the rest of the day. She's a bench press specialist, or I shouldn't call her bench press specialist, but her specialty is bench press, and she showed that today with some American records, and she's just successful at 157.5 on her second attempt deadlift, so she's looking good for the rest of the day. you know.
YouTube can link like Monica. She's going to pass on this one, though, Freddie. She's going to save it up.
All right, so what Benica did here, Benica doesn't need this deadlift, right? That doesn't help her do anything. But she still, because it's such a short flight, she put in her time, and if you guys are wondering why, you're watching on platform 2, that's running. They're just letting the time run to give absolutely full time to Becky Holcomb to try to exceed the world record here. That's the point here. So we discussed that a little bit. If you listened to us yesterday afternoon, there were some other athletes who did that, and there was somebody that I kind of criticized for not doing that in a short flight. Guys, if there's 14 lifters in a flight, by all means withdraw.
Yeah.
If there's 5, 6, 7, 8 lifters in a flight, put in your attempt and at least let it time and run out.
And one of the reasons, too, for letting the time run out is that, and she may have, you know, put in that third attempt deadlift when she thought she may still want to take it, but you don't zero it out and take it off the board because the lifters following you are planning on that much rest time, especially in geared lifting, you know, where it takes a little while to get wrapped or the suit pulled up or any of those other preparations that they get in the gear tweaks so you can maximize the lifter, or you know, they all take time. In raw lifting, changes to the schedule don't affect you quite so much.
Here comes Becky, and I want to see her get this. Again, she's just a great person. And she and Benica are quite a contrast. I mean, they're very close in terms of their lifting. Benica is very loquacious, we shall say. Becky is a little more quiet, fun, and easygoing, but a little different. But it's a contrast in the different personalities that can succeed in this sport.
Yeah, nice solid lockout at the top. That looked really good. No question about that. 3 white lights.
So right now, the two heaviest female deadlifters in the world, equipped, Becky Holcomb, classic, Sarah Brenner, both Americans.
Yep.
Now, neither of them has the world record because they haven't done it yet in an international competition. Sarah's just waiting to go, and Becky, if she goes to Dubai, will break it there.
And certainly that was, when the Arnold was an international competition, it gave the opportunity to some of our lifters who are outstanding lifters, but because they didn't win their weight class, don't get an opportunity to set a world record in an international championship because they're not the best 3-lift lifter, yet they still have the capability of setting a world record in an individual lift.
All right, so Caitli Jones is up now. She is our presumptive, again, gold medalist in the T3, and she's trying to get on the medal stand for open.
So yours is just a little ahead of mine. I got Talia Ramirez.
Yep.
Is on the platform on my screen still.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I'm a little bit. I don't know why mine always seems to be a little bit faster.
Okay, and that was a no lift for Caitli Jones, and so we'll be going to Sarah Green. Oh no, that means we're starting back again at the beginning. Elisa Saunders will be at 132.5. Okay, starting off deadlift attempt number 3 for Elisa Saunders on platform 1. These are the final lifts for most of the age group competitors in the 84 kilogram class. And then we'll go to flight B, which will be almost exclusively the open only lifters in the 84 kilogram class.
Loaded, Saunders, silver medal position. Give her a round of applause. These are everybody's final polls. Thank you, Ms.
and that was a no lift for Elisa Saunders at 132.5. We're going to 147.5 for Abigail Krieger, and she'll be followed by at 147.5 by Sarah Boland. Unless there's somebody fighting for placing here, and lifters are allowed to change their third attempt deadlift twice. So based on whether the lifter ahead of them is successful or not, if they're standing there at the score table immediately ready to submit a change, we might see some jockeying for position and changing of attempts as lifters try to move up in the final standings here in the lifting. So Abigail Krieger was not successful at 147.5. Weight staying the same at 147.5 for Sarah Boland. And we seem to have if you're watching the scoring on Lifting Cast, Talia Ramirez was successful at 192.5 on her second attempt deadlift, and it looks like in the scoring program they've got 147.5 for her third, and that can't be a valid attempt. So it looks like there'll be some kind of change here after Sarah, but before we go through Jill Arno and maybe Cameron Oakes. So look for a change coming up here. Okay, and it looks like they got that correct. Talia Ramirez went from 147.5 to 197.5, and that's expected. You can never go down. It just wouldn't make sense to go down. So we've got the bar loaded for Sarah Boland at 147.5. She'll be followed by Jill Arno at 155. And it looks like Sarah Boland timed out at 147.5. And so they'll be loading the bar to 155. Yep, so we had the timeout at 147.5 for Sarah. Bar's being loaded to 155 for Jill Arno. And she'll be followed by Cameron Oakes at 167.5. And we'll have two lifters at 167.5, Cameron Oakes and Megan Ahern. And they'll be followed by two lifters at 170 kilograms, Jerry Fredrickson and Laura Sterland.
Hold on, Jill, hold on. Bar's loaded, Jill Arno.
And again, if you're watching on the scoring system, Lifting Cast is showing Jill Arno was unsuccessful at 155, but our live video shows she's just starting to pull right now. And that certainly looked like a successful lift at 155 for Jill Arno. And so the weight should be going to 167.5 for Cameron Oakes. So look to see the screen change if you're watching the scoring on Lifting Cast.
Scoring table, Mark Jill with a good lift. Mark Jill with a good lift, and the next lifter is Cameron Oakes.
We've got Cameron Oakes and Megan Ahern going at 167.5, and then Gail Fredrickson and Laura Sterland will be both going at 170 kilos. And those are anticipated numbers right now. They may change if folks are jockeying for position.
Bar's loaded.
So we've got Cameron Oakes addressing the bar here at 167.5 kilos.
She's kicking up a lot of power.
Yeah, kicking up the. There's some talc on the platform from the lifter's legs, and a little bit of chalk there too. So sliding the bar forward to a position where she can get some good grip with her shoes. And past her knees, but just didn't have enough to lock that one out. So a no lift for Cameron Oakes at 167.5, and bar stays the same for Megan Ahern at 167.5. Megan is working on a 8-for-8 day, successful on this one. It'll give her a 9-for-9 day, which is, if those third attempts are max efforts, a 9 for 9 day is a great thing to accomplish.
Yeah. And Megan's trying to, I mean, she can go to South Africa if she wishes for the world team, for the M1s. It's you know, it'll be interesting. At any chance anybody has to go to someplace like South Africa, I'd say take it and just do it at least once.
Yes.
And guys, I don't know if you watch any of these videos at home or something on YouTube. Guys, when there's a fence in South Africa, like out in the middle of nowhere, don't jump the fence. They are there to protect people from the wildlife.
Yeah, right.
And I'm sure you've seen the videos of the guys climbing the fence to tease the lions. Never goes well.
Yeah, bad thing to do. Okay, Megan Ahern was successful at 167.5. The bar is going to 170 for Jerry Fredrickson, and Laura Sterling will also be taking 170 kilos.
So anyway, last time we were in South Africa, 2 powerlifters jumped the fence. They're wandering around through, and they were a little drunk, I think, maybe, and wanted to mess with the lions a little bit. And all of a sudden, the lion came up and appeared right in front of them, came right out of the grass. And the one guy turns to the other guy and goes, "We got to run." And he goes, "We can't run faster than a lion." And the other guy goes, "But I can run faster than you."
Yeah.
So it's all a matter of strategy. It's not about necessarily who's the best.
Yeah. Okay, Laura Sterling is coming out here for her third and final deadlift. She's 7 for 8 so far. This will give her an 8 for 9 day if she pulls this one. Working hard, got it off the floor, but not enough to finish it. So she finishes 7 for 9 with a 429 kilo total, and that's a 429, not a multiple of 2.5, because she set some American records in bench press, a 131, and then followed that up with a 136.5 for M2 American records on bench press in the 84 kilogram class.
Now this deadlift, so Talia's in first place here in the juniors, but remember Sarah Davis, who's our presumptive gold medalist, if she makes one deadlift, is lifting in the second flight. So
and right now that's you can see that again if you're watching on Lifting Cast. The forecasted totals, Talia, as Elliot said, is in first place, but if Sarah is successful on her opening deadlift, I think that's going to bump Talia down to second place on the deadlifts, or on overall total for the juniors. And the reason Sarah Davis is in the second flight is because she's lifting also as an open lifter. Talia is lifting junior only, so that means that she ended up in the first flight. And it looks like Talia Ramirez, our announcer out front, said she beat the down command. Marisa Lutz is up at 200 kilos, about 441 pounds. She's already in the and got it started but unable to finish there. So no lift for Marissa, and now we're going to 215 for Caitli Jones. Caitli was unsuccessful at 215 on her previous attempt. She is currently in first place in the T3s. That won't change. She's forecasted to be fourth place in the Women's Open, and that certainly is going to change based on the performances of the ladies coming in the second flight. And Caitli Jones is the last lifter in Flight A of our 84 kilogram lifters. Now we'll be starting with Flight B and starting with Sarah Green at 140 kilograms.
And Caitli she is sub-junior world champion, so she is a good lifter.
Also, definitely cement her win in the T3 division. Got stuck just before lockout. That upper back just wasn't as strong as the lower back, so she got it pulled off the floor, but just couldn't get the shoulders back and stand fully erect to get that lift qualified for white lights.
And now, interestingly enough, who was the other? Because Caitli was competing as a T3. Who came in second place in the T3s? So if Marissa Lutz had made her 200, she would have won that class.
That's correct.
So that's where the fine line is there, and you're constantly coming back at each other. I mean, this is, especially in the deadlift period, is very akin to boxing, where you're coming back over the top at people.
Right. There's only 2.5 kilograms between first and second place there in the T3s. And also, one thing to remember too is that some of the ladies that are competing in the T3 division, in terms of position on a world team, the T3s and juniors overlap.
Correct.
There's only a junior and sub-junior going forward at a world competition. So the T1, T2, T3, and junior, those 4 age divisions get compressed into 2 divisions when you're going towards the world championships.
Right, sub-junior, which is 14 to 19, or up to your 19th birthday, and junior, which is your 19th birthday through your 23rd year.
That's correct, yep. So Sarah Green was successful on her opening deadlift for 140 pounds. She had a rough start on squat, but got a bench in, and now she's got one deadlift in. Got a good lift for Jonna Brianna at 150 kilos, going to 152.5 for Sarah Roddick. Looking for all the ladies to be successful here on their opening attempt deadlifts.
So, and that, and if you look down, if you're watching on liftingcast.com with us, Natalie Hansen's open at 195, well under what she can do. She just wants to get something in on the board, win that gold medal, and stamp her ticket to Dubai. I mean, our women's team won last year. Did we win last year? Yeah, we won last year. And I believe, did we also win in Pilsen?
I do not remember.
I do not remember. But either way, so maybe we took silver. But so our women's team is the reigning world champion. We want to repeat that. So, it's really important for Natalie to go through. Because presumptively she's going to be 12 points for us at Worlds.
Right.
Right. Deanna Gerdischmeyer, who's the Tennessee chair.
Okay, so up next, Kahlo at 190 kilograms. Right now, she's forecast to be 6th in the Women's Open. And Natalie Hansen, who following Ka, is obviously forecast to be first place in the women. And I don't think that there's anybody who is going to be able to make a run at Natalie. Even though Monet has a huge deadlift, I think Natalie's in the driver's seat in terms of holding off anybody making a push from behind. It looks like Kai had a torn hand. You can see a little bit of a tape around the hand on her right hand. So she must have torn a callus or something on warm-ups. And that tape on the hand, it's not there to improve her grip. It's to keep blood off the bar so that it doesn't slow down the contest or present a blood-borne pathogen hazard for the lifters who are lifting in the same flight as her.
429 opener for Natalie, a lead iron.
To tell you how outstanding Natalie's bench is, she benched 190. And now she's opening on deadlift at 195, so just 5 kilograms heavier, though this is well within her range.
Yeah, and that's all that's for, folks, just to get the gold medal.
But, so Natalie cemented her first place position with a successful lift at 195 kilograms.
Yeah, even with that light opener, after opening attempts, she's going to be 40 kilos ahead of Monet.
Right, she's got a dominant lead.
You got to remember, Monet was the bronze medalist at Worlds last year.
Right.
All right, and Natalie, who's not having a great day, is going to finish after openers at 40 kilos ahead of her.
Yep.
So think about, again, even though Natalie's not having a great day, she still is a dominant lifter.
And here's Sarah Davis at 207.5. Got that one up and locked out. And that cements her first place position for the junior championship. And as we said before, the juniors and the T3s, you know, there's some overlap in those positions for the world team slots. So it looks like Sarah Davis is in a good position, unless the T3 total in this division isn't close to Sarah. So Sarah's, you know, pretty much locked up her invite to the world team.
Now, it's funny, Monet. Yeah. So Monet's up now at 225. The American record is only 235, Joe.
Oh, so yeah. And that was a nice, easy. Look at the smile at the top of the lift. That was, that was just so easy. You know, when I deadlift, it looks like I'm going to rupture blood vessels in my forehead. So, you know, the people who make it look easy, I'm quite envious of, because I always make it look difficult, even with much less weight than these ladies are lifting. Okay, Sarah Green's opening up our second attempt deadlifts here in this final flight. She's at 150 kilograms. She'll be followed by Deanna Gersmeyer at 160 kilograms. Sarah had a rough start, but let's see that already more successful on deadlifts than she was on squat or bench press. Two good deadlifts in the books now for Sarah Green. Deanna Gersmeyer up now at 160 kilograms. She'll be followed by Sarah Roddick at 162.5.
So anyway, Joe, I know you're the developer of the new IPF formula. I have no problem with that. I hear people, whatever, because it's more fair. So the people who were favored before now think they're being slighted. However, the only thing I would have liked is Soloviova had a 700 Wilks, which was the formula prior to this, in her hands and just stumbled at the top with that deadlift. I would have liked to see someone break 700
right, to get a 700
before we retired that.
Right, before we retired that.
Yeah.
And I think some, you know, the IPF formula is adopted by the IPF, but there's a number of other federations that are still using the Wilks, and we'll see how long that they continue to use that. So, and the IPF formula was developed specifically for the IPF using IPF data. So, you know, other federations and other groups may or may not choose to use the IPF formula, especially since it's got the name IPF on it.
And Monet, as I said, put in 235.5 to break the American record.
And that's a good lift for Sarah Roddick.
Good lift for Sarah, yep.
162.5 and going to 170 for Jonna Brianen. And Kalo will be following that at 195 kilos. And yeah, the pace of this is going pretty quickly. It looks like we'll be done with this flight of deadlift in probably under 10 minutes.
Bonus loaded for Jonna. Come on out, Jonna. Team Phoenix, can you back the rip for coaching?
And that was a no lift. Couldn't quite finish that one at 170 kilos. That was quite a jump from her opener. She'd open at 150. So 170 is a 20 kilo jump, 44 pounds, and that's a big jump. Okay, Kahlo's coming up at 195 kilograms, 5 kilos up from her opening attempt. She'll be followed by Natalie Hanson. Natalie is going to 207.5 after opening at 195. And then we'll see Sarah Davis and Monet Bland.
Monet stumbles here on deadlift, Sarah's in shooting distance. You know, it's not close, but like I said, if Monet stumbles, you know, that's going to put Sarah in contention.
Oh, yeah.
Lift is good.
Yep.
Natalie Hanson, 457.
Okay, and Natalie's working on a 7 for 7 day, looking for 8 for 8, and then finally 9 for 9. In any case, she's in the driver's seat for this this lift, and everything that she's done after getting her opening attempt is just is padding her lead. Nobody's going to catch her.
Right, and you're seeing a great lifter here. Again, she's been beaten up a little bit over the last couple of years, but she's coming in, she's putting up white lights all the time.
Yeah,
they're making good attempt selections. But when you've got James Townsend, who's one of the best coaches in the world in this sport, calling your numbers, he's going to call a good game for you. It's like a great catcher, makes a good pitcher even better.
And you want to have a great game, but not risk anything.
Correct.
At this championship, because a win here is the stepping stone to the Worlds, where where you win the Worlds and set the world records. And that is a nice solid pull and an easy lockout.
So that gives her 662.5. Again, putting this in perspective. So again, not at her best. She doesn't feel she's at her best, but her personal best total is 671. She's at 662.5 now. So it just shows that even when you're not where you want to be,
right,
you can still get to where you want to go.
Right.
Be smart, manage risk. And that's what she's doing right now so well, is managing risk. And she's darn close to her personal best.
Okay, here's Sarah Davis at 220. And depending on the outcome of these next two lifts, that could have some implications for second and third place, and looked like got it past her knees, but just couldn't finish that one out. So,
right. So again, and Natalie was telling me she didn't feel good and other stuff, but this, she has 215 in for her third attempt. It will leave her at 9 for 9 and within 1 kilo of the world record and her personal best.
Outstanding.
Pretty. Yeah. What you're saying, it's was it an amazing performance in terms of the number? Yes, but they controlled risk, and she's hitting her lifts.
Right.
That is how you want to lift. That is what produces superstars like Natalie Hansen. That's what produces world records.
Right, and so even on a day when when you're not 100%, to be at 99.9% of the world records, that's pretty darn good.
Yeah, it's amazing to think of that.
Yeah,
and based on my talking to her during warm-ups, I would have not have thought that we would be where we are with her right now.
Yep.
I really want to see her make that lift, go 9 for 9, 27 whites, and have a great day for that.
Oh, and that was a nice strong pull for Monet. So a 235.5, that's an American record, and she should be able to pad that on her third attempt, as easy as that one looked. I don't want to guess how much more she has in the tank, but there's there's certainly room to add some more to that American record.
Yeah, she jumped up 10.5 kilos, so about 23 pounds.
Yeah.
Be interesting to see where she goes with this right now.
Because if you want to add significantly to the record, you can stretch it and be unsuccessful, or you go, well, I want to make a little bit of a statement and put 5 kilos on. You can add 5, maybe 10, but and that's that guessing game. And sometimes, this is where, that head-to-head competition where, if you need the lift, to move up a place or to win, sometimes the American record is a side benefit, or unofficial world record is a side benefit of going head-to-head and going for the, that big pull for a win.
Yep.
And we're back to Sarah Green was successful at 155. Deanna Gerdsmeyer is lifting now at 165 kilos. And she's working on a 9 for 9 day. So if Deanna pulls this one, and 9 for 9 is not the be-all and end-all, but what it does show, if you're those third attempt lifts on squat and on bench and on deadlift
are close to your max, that's showing
Yeah.
a well-planned contest, you know, where you're making the most of your capabilities.
Oh, yeah. Oh, hell can't stop these powerlifters.
And 9 for 9, she's pretty happy with that.
2-1.
So Monet put in 2:41.
Run it. Bars loaded.
It's a good number.
That looks like a good number. You know, enough to put some distance on the record, and probably enough to be reasonably confident of being successful at finishing it up.
Now, to give you an idea of how Monet is doing today, right? She is at 620.5 right now after her second deadlift. That number, her personal best total was 617.5.
So
she's having a great day herself.
And so that 241
Right.
is, you know, just padding. She was already she already exceeded her personal best. So she's having a very good day, and she's 8 for 9. So and I'm anticipating, based on the numbers she put in, what we saw on on all her other lifts, that a 9 for 9 day and a personal record total is certainly, you know, the expectation for her, you know, for her in this contest.
At a world championship, the most points you can take in any weight class is 21 points. 12 points for first, 9 points for silver. We had 20 points from Natalie and Monet. That's what makes them so good. And Monet is very close to being where she can be with 9 points and may be there in Dubai this year.
And certainly being a big deadlifter, that's you know, as we talked about before, being able to, you know, pull for a world record, for additional placing, or to get on the podium or move up, you know, on the podium. Being a strong deadlifter is just such a huge ace in the hole, you know, when you're going into any major competition at powerlifting. That strong deadlift is just a wonderful thing to have.
You know, and I've had the privilege of watching Monet and Kelsey, who had a great day yesterday, see the two of them kind of grow up and mature as lifters.
Okay.
I mean,
that was a nice pull for
yeah, it's a
Kai,
good pull there for Kalo. And to be charitable, Kelsey and Monet were a mess when they started. And I'll tell you another one we're going to see tomorrow afternoon, Joe Capolino. All three of them came out of the same Northeast University powerlifting. All three of them were a mess. And now they're among the greatest lifters in the history of the sport. Not just the sport, but the history of the sport. Right? And so Joe couldn't get depth in the squat, couldn't get a good bench in. And just, you know, and now you look at him, just an amazing lifter. Monet's amazing. Kelsey's amazing. And it's great to see that development of people stick in this sport. Very few people walk into this sport, Joe, and dominate. It's usually hard work and desire and grit that gets you there.
Oh, absolutely. And certainly with the geared lifting,
so Natalie's up
as the gear evolves,
this will essentially tie her personal best total.
Got a little stuck there right before the end. So
let's see. Yeah, so she had a decent day. She was taking a shot, right? That was a feel-good shot right there.
Yep.
But she really had no place else to go with that number.
Yeah.
Right? So she went 207.5. What was she going to go, 212? I mean,
yeah. No,
you might as well try to see if you're back where you need to be. But at 662.5, still would have been good enough to win gold medal last year, I believe.
We got
gold
Sarah
medal
Davis coming up
world.
at 220. She was really close at the 220 before. Got her legs and everything straightened out. She just couldn't lock it out, that upper back. So, getting a really good upper back pull to start with and keeping the head and shoulders high at the beginning of the lift gives you the best chance of finishing. And she just got stuck there at the top. Again, that really strong pull off the floor, just not able to get the shoulders back to finish it out. So,
41 kilos.
okay, and now Monet Bland, 241 kilos. So that's going to give her a 626 total. She's got second place locked up. not going to catch Natalie Hansen, and no intention really of catching Natalie Hansen.
So
this is padding the American record deadlift.
here's how well Natalie did today. She would have beaten herself last year, right? She won the gold, she would have beaten herself. So she did pretty well. Right now, Monet Bland's up here.
I'm waiting for that smile at the end of this pull.
She's
had such a good day.
She's attempting to break the American record that she set on her second attempt.
Right. And here it comes. Oh, there's the smile. Oh, right there, right at the knees. That was so strong off the floor.
Probably a good call for her.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe she had 240.
Well, and many sumo deadlifters, once you break the floor, if you can stay in the groove, you can finish out the lift. And she broke the floor. Her shoulders got
a little bit ahead of the bar, I think.
Pretty easy. And, so I think the strength was there, just maybe a little bit out of the groove. But we're now complete with the morning session, a Saturday of our 2019 USA Powerlifting Open Nationals here in Lombard, Illinois. So we're going to take a look at the replay here of Monet's lift. And as I said, it popped off the floor really strong.
I think her shoulders just got ahead of the bar, Joe, and that. So she's trying to pull it back in line as much as she is, lift it off the floor. Let's see what happens here.
Yep. Yeah, it looked like she was a little over her toes and
just couldn't sit back.
Yep, and just couldn't pull it back because it didn't look like it was weak at all. Just looked like a positional thing, not a strength thing. So,
I mean, what we came here to see today, essentially, Sarah Davis dominating the juniors, which we saw, which was anticipated. We came to see Natalie Hanson and Monet Bland dominate in the opens, which they both did.
Right.
All right. They did an outstanding job in '84. So we go to the pluses. What did we come to see for the pluses, right? We came to see Benika Brown dominate. She went 793, folks, on an easy day. Easy to go 800 for her in Dubai. It's going to should be no problem for her, right? And we saw Becky Holcomb coming at 753.5.
And going 8 for 9 on the day, just missed one bench press and eclipsed the world record unofficially on deadlift. So just a phenomenal day for those two lifters. The stars that we expected to shine did.
Now realize, where did Becky finish?
She had a 753.5.
Okay, at Worlds last year, and make sure I'm looking at the right year. At Worlds last year, she hit 710. So you want to talk about having a day? She finished 753? You said?
Yep, 753.
43 kilos.
Oh, that's
pushing up on 100 pounds.
Yep.
She added to her equipped total since November.
Yep.
That is a dominant day, and we're looking forward to 21. We were talking about 20 points out of the 84s. We're looking forward again to 21 points out of our out of the two of them. A 12 from from Benika, and 9 there from her. So, look, it looks like in the 84 and the 84 pluses, USA is going to be dominant again.
Yeah. Unless, we're talking about the stars shining, unless some stars emerge in somebody else's universe. The USA Powerlifting looks to be dominant in the 84 and 84 plus kilogram weight classes going into Worlds.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you're dominant here in the U.S., you're going to be fairly dominant in the on the world stage.
And and U.S. lifters, we overall, compared to the world, our folks in the U.S. just are a little, about 10 kilograms heavier. So, the weight classes lighter than us dominate those. The other nations dominate some of those lighter weight classes. But it looks like in the 84 and 84 plus. Our U.S. lifters are going to be dominant again. Going into Worlds.
Really good. And it's kind of interesting. Last year at Classic Worlds, just to kind of close out, and obviously this is equip lifting, but at Classic Worlds last year, if we had gone our open team, USA Open team, men's and women's, against the whole field, so it's USA against the field,
world.
we probably still would have come close to winning the world championship. So if you take all of the best lifters in their classes from every other country, make a super team out of them, we still could have handled our business both on the women's and the men's side. That's how dominant the U.S. is in lifting. It's not as clear cut in the equipped, obviously.
Right.
But it's very clear cut in
and I think certainly one of the reasons that in the raw lifting, one of the reasons that dominance is that about 90% of our lifters are lifting raw, so we've got a tremendous talent pool.
Yeah, it's a theory of large numbers, right? We just have a much bigger pool to choose from.
Right.
So look, we got the awards are going to be coming up here in a second. It looks like they're getting ready to start. So for me, Elliot Feldman, and for Joe Marksteiner, we're going to sign off here in the afternoon. You want to come back? I believe it's going to be at 3 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, and then tomorrow morning I'll be back on here with world champion Bryce Lewis in the morning. We'll be at 10 o'clock Central Time, 11 o'clock Eastern Time. Come and join us for those 2 sessions right here. And again, for me, Elliot Feldman, and for Joe Marksteiner here with me, I'd like to thank you for joining us, and have a great day.
Yep, thank you, guys.
Have supported this sport and getting women into powerlifting. For those of you that were here yesterday, you saw Sue Elwin lift. She is well into her 70s. She was in the very first women's only meet that we had. Something remarkable. There's so much history for women when being in a strength sport was so hard. And as Larry had mentioned, men contribute to the growth of women's sports, and that's why every odd year we induct a male into the Women's Hall of Fame, even though they're obviously not women. So you'll see men here. A lot of them are not here today either, but again, please go to our website. So we have Caitli Marksteiner, Ruth Welding, Sue Hallen, Susie Hartwig-Gary, Larry Maley, and Johnny Graham, and me. And for the first presentation for our male that will be inducted this year, I'm going to go ahead and hand that over to Sue. This person happens to be local, and so we figured the people that know him the best should do the introduction. Thanks, Sue.
Thank you. Is Dave here or anybody from B&W Gym? If you are, come on up. Our first inductee on the male side is Dennis Brady. So Dennis Brady, in the late 70s, Dennis Brady went to a powerlifting meet with his gym partner. They went to the meet, he looked around and he said, I can do better than this. So he did, and he did a lot. So he's done a considerable amount. We should put this on auto, I guess. Yeah, have them just click through. So what you're gonna see are some pictures from Dennis's gym, B&W Gym. It's old school lifting. It's in the basement of a building downtown. He's an incredible guy, and unfortunately he's sick right now, so he's not able to be with us. But Dennis has been a big part of powerlifting in my powerlifting career for a very long time. So he also has put on well over 100 national meets. He's put on well over 100 local meets. He's been instrumental in getting women involved. His first women's team had Sandy Brady and Joanne Reif and Rebecca Brink. So there's and Janice Johnson. There's some incredible names from the early 80s, late 70s, that Dennis was instrumental in getting into women's powerlifting. He'd since gone on, he held a thing called the Viking Open. So the Viking Open has a 25-year plus history in Illinois, and you can see he's done everything. He's been a coach, he's been a mentor, he's been a gym owner, he's put on millions of meets, and now he is back in the fold and doing USAPL meets locally. So in Chicago, he puts on both novice men and women, and open meets, and masters meets. So he does a lot. You can see from all of the logos here, everything. All of these are national. He's done world meets here. So Dennis has been instrumental in a lot of things in all of our life. The first meet I ever went to was a Viking Open. And the Viking Open in Chicago was known as the place where if you wanted to get to nationals, that's where you went. And you not only went there, but you knew if you passed a lift there, that you were good to go. And the competition was outstanding. So Judy Gedney and Ruth Welding and a lot of these people, it was like a national meet every time. Even if it was in the basement of St. Ben's or some other school downtown, right? So anyway, Dennis is a wonderful guy. Ruth, do you want to say anything? Add on? He's coaching, the other thing is he's coaching current women. So he started back into USAPL. He's coaching a ton of new women in the sport, some of which have been competing this weekend. And so they're very powerful, they're very good, and they're very open to learning about anybody. So, yeah.
I just want to say both Susie and I have a great memory from his Open Worlds. One of the slides that were up there, he held in 2003, the IPF Open Women's Championship was held in, he was the meet director for that. That was my very first IPF medal, was on his platform, which was awesome. And Susie Hartwood-Gary was the first U.S. Women's Open World Championship on his platform. And with this, I'm going to go ahead and have both Ruth and Sue, except for him, because both Ruth and Sue are from Chicago area. Sue, you want to come up for this as well? And they'll bring it back to Dennis again. He's unfortunately unable to get to us, but I'm going to read the plaque, as I do every year, because I think it's significant in what it says. It says, USA Powerlifting Women's Hall of Fame, Dennis Brady, inducted 2019. In recognition for your achievement as a powerlifting and for your achievement in powerlifting and a pioneer in paving the path for the future of women powerlifters. Please put your hands together for Dennis Brady. And of course, for the Women's Hall of Fame, we need to have a woman in there as well this year. With that, I'd like to have up Donna Marks. So we always start with a bio for the ladies that are being inducted into the Women's Hall of Fame. You'll see a slideshow presentation up above. The one thing that I think is interesting when I review Donna's is it's not about Donna, and you'll notice that in the theme of what I say today. Donna is about the lifters, her friends, the people she supports in this sport. So you'll notice that there's kind of little bits of Donna here and there. I think that's her first meet in Pocatello, Idaho, which I happen to be at. So I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about Donna as you see some pretty old school pictures. So Donna started in 2004 in Pocatello, Idaho, which like I said, I happen to be at that one, doing chain and coaching some women as well. For her athletic background prior to powerlifting, she was a swimmer, and then when she got into high school, she said every sport. Some of them included field hockey, soccer, basketball, track, and swimming. She had a scholarship in track and field to Northwestern University. And Donna's stories are always funny or comical, I have to say. We asked, how did you get into powerlifting? And so her story was at age 43. So if there's anybody over 40 out there and have watched these young ladies this morning lift, it's never too late to get into the sport. So at 43, she decided to hire a personal trainer because she was, quote, yes, I was kidding. She, as I quote, out of shape, overweight, and generally felt like an old desk worker. So she decided to take up powerlifting. Her first meet, as we mentioned, was in 2004. We asked her best meet totals, which was in 2012 at Women's National. She did a 450 kilo total. So 2012, let's go fast forward to 2019. She did a 420 kilo total at at the age of 59. This picture. The other remarkable story about Donna, for many of you that don't know her, is last year as she was preparing for Master Worlds, she actually broke her wrist squatting, which withdrew her from Master Worlds and probably another Master World Championship. But she recovered, and I talk with her almost daily. You become friends very close in the sport, and she was determined to be at the top of the podium yesterday, and she was the national champion yesterday. We also ask about their accomplishments in the sport, and Donna is very modest. She didn't list how many times she's won Worlds. She didn't list how many times she's won Nationals. And she didn't list how many times you've set records, because she can't count. She's an engineer, by the way, and she has 4 patents. If you didn't see that up there, she's actually pretty smart. So I'm gonna have to go back before we put this on the website and actually find out all your numbers. How many world championships, Donna? 7-time IPF world champion as a master. And again, remember, she started at age 43 as a overweight, out of shape, and generally felt like an old desk worker. We asked a couple of her memorable highlights, and her first was her first Masters Championship in the Czech Republic. And I won't quote some of the stuff that Harriet Hall said, but it's pretty funny. You'll have to read it later. And then also in 2009, she got to be on the Open World team to represent Team USA. And out of that, she took 7th place because she had, as you said, excellent coaching by Larry Maley, who again, in the Women's Hall of Fame, to keep her up and encourage her and to beat out people that are probably 20 years younger than her. Her influences in powerlifting, and I guess I paid her to say this, I'm one of them. Harriet Hall is one of them. Harriet Hall is also in the Women's Hall of Fame, and I really encourage you to look at that as well. At, I believe, 59, she squatted 600 pounds. And then Larry Maley as well. And contributions to powerlifting, again, she's being very modest, because her theme on this is giving back to the sport and giving back to the lifters. She is a national level referee and an athlete's rep. She helps out at local meets. She helps coach people. There's never a time, especially with the Masters team, that Donna and the Donnas, we call her husband the Donnas, are not there helping a hand, wrapping somebody, loading weights, doing whatever is asked. She is always there to help support every single lifter, every single day of the meets. And then we ask, as your name goes down in history, what do you want to be remembered for? Remembered the most for? Trying to think of how to say this. Actually, again, it's back to the lifters, as you see the theme in all of her pictures. It's basically about the family that she's made within the sport, the fellow master lifters especially, that the lifters are unique, fun, and independent people that she enjoys being with. And we also ask for words of wisdom as her name goes down in history into the Women's Hall of Fame. And she says, I don't have that much wisdom, but she has a suitcase full of experiences and stories. And I'm just gonna sum it up at the end and says, they may never, looking at women in the gym, they may never say anything to you, the people that are observing the women in the gym, and you may never know their names, but they watch you and one day they'll turn around, or one day it will turn to be their sport and how the sport grows. So again, everything Donna does, she's giving back to the sport. And let's go ahead and give her a hand. So every year we give, actually it kind of changed a little bit over the years, but our last several years we do a Women's Hall of Fame jacket that is donated by Kathy Mark Steiner. So we'll go ahead and let her present that to Donna. She's got a shoulder. the plaque, which I'm going to read to you as we hold it. USA Powerlifting's Women's Hall of Fame member, Donna Martz, inducted 2019. In recognition for your achievement as a powerlifter and as a pioneer in paving the path for future of women's powerlifters. Thank you so much, Donna. Again, let's put our hands together. Thank you very much for attending the Women's Hall of Fame induction.
All right, all the ladies that competed, please step out onto the platform. All the ladies that competed, all the ladies, please line up along the back row behind the two platforms, starting in the middle. Thank you, Kathy. Priscilla, is Donna going to give out the awards? Fabulous. All right, first category. Women's, equipped, junior, 84 kilo weight class. Silver medal winner, big round of applause for Talia Ramirez. Talia. Step up, Talia, onto the silver, it's the green one. And the gold medal winner, hailing from Elite Iron, a rounding ovation for Sarah Davis. Donna, line up right there. Proper protocol, thank you. Photos, front and center. One more round of applause. Junior category, 84 plus kilo weight class, gold medal winner, Viviana Flores. Masters 1, 84 kilo weight class, gold medal winner. She went 9 for 9. Megan Ahern. Masters 1, 84 plus kilo weight class, silver medal winner, Rebecca Meester. Team Phoenix swept this category. Gold medal winner, Andrea Page. Masters 2, 84 kilo weight class, silver medal winner, Sarah Bolin. Gold medal winner, Laura Sterling. Masters 2, 84 kilo plus weight class gold medal winner, Lori Kolakowski. Masters 3, 84 kilo weight class gold medal winner, Jill Arno. Masters 3, 84 plus kilo weight class gold medal winner, Sue Howland. Kilo open category, 84 kilo weight class. In 5th place, Caitli Jones. In 4th place, Ka Lo. Bronze medal, Sarah Davis. Silver medal, Monet Blend. And the gold medal winner, a big ovation now for Natalie Hanson. Photos. '84 open category, 84 plus kilo weight class. In 5th place, Hannah Brown. Fourth place, Camilla Todd. Bronze medal winner, Viviana Flores. Silver medal winner, Becky Holcomb. And the gold medal winner, big round of applause for Bonica Brown. All right, photos, Donna, line up. Let's get Donna. Get in there, Donna. Let's get some photos. One more round of applause to these 5 young ladies. '84 kilo weight class, teen 1, 84 kilo weight class silver medal winner, Elisa Saunders. And another twisted lifter in the gold medal position, Abigail Krieger. Team 2, 84 plus, kilo weight class, gold medal winner, Christina Skirdo. Team 3, 84 kilo weight class, 4th place, Jerry Fredrickson. Bronze medal, Cameron Oakes. Silver medal, Marissa Lutz. Gold medal winner, Caitli Jones. All right, what? Ladies and gentlemen, give all of our athletes one more round of applause. Come on, give them a continuous round of applause as they get escorted off the platform. And we are going to go right into the Women's Best Overall Lifter Awards. So if you believe you are in that category, do not leave the venue. We're going to give out the Best Overall Female Lifter Awards, Sarah, and the Team Awards. Oh, thank you, Arian. Are we ready? All right, here we go. Best over. Look at the prize they get. Priscilla, hold that up. I think this is a fabulous prize. Look at what they all get. They get to hang that in their gym, their house, wherever they want. Look at the quality of that. Every lifter is going to get one in each of these categories. With the new IPF, Joe Marksteiner IPF total points of 598.519. The Masters won Best Overall Lifter by IPF formula, Andrea Page. And that was Team Phoenix. One more round of applause as she holds up her banner. You got room for that in the gym, Kevin? All right. All right, Masters 2. Best overall lifter by formula, 653.118, Susie Hartwig Gary. Where is she, at lunch? All right. Somebody could let her know she can get up here before we finish. Masters 3. Best overall lifter by IPF formula, 536.629, Jill Arno. Masters 4. Best overall lifter, IPF formula, 441.935, Susan Elwin. She left. Best overall lifter, teen, with an IPF points of 724.629. A big round of applause for Angelina Batigi. Best overall lifter, junior category, IPF points 739.091, Taylor LaChapelle. Who's messing around with a microphone? I am. Sorry. Wow. You like that, huh, Bill? Find that funny. And ladies and gentlemen, the best overall lifter in the open category with an IPF total of 816.309. A big round of applause now for Kelsey McCarthy. Kelsey? Where is she? Oh, here she comes. I knew she hadn't left yet. Mama McCarthy, are you out there too? She left? All right, Priscilla, you want to line up next to them? You on one side, Donna on the other? All right, neither of you. They're too humble and shy, they're big champions. All right, big round of applause for all these winners. Let's get some photos. Thank you, ladies. All right, let's go to the team awards. Women's teen in third place, 17 points, Carrizo Springs. What? Team, oh, I'm sorry, in the teen category. Carrizo Springs. Anybody from Carrizo Springs out here that can accept on behalf of the team? Carrizo Springs, anyone? No. 45 points, second place, Lone Oak Strength. Come on, all of you, come on up. Anybody from Lone Oak, come on up. And with 60 points in first place, Twisted Lifters. Go ahead, give them one more round of applause. Open team winners. Third place, 41 points, Equipped Excellence. Jill, is anybody coming up? Luis, come on up. He is? He's wearing the shirt. Go ahead, show him the shirt, Luis. I'm bringing him up for two reasons. One, because he's part of the team, even though he's with Team Titan. He works out with all these ladies. And two, this is him up here. Give me a round of applause for that. All right. Second place, 42 points, Midland University. And in first place, ladies and gentlemen, a big round of applause for Elite Iron. Where's Townsend? James. James, come on out here, support your team. He can hear me back there, he knows. Come on, James. Give me a round of applause for James Townsend. He didn't even know what place he came in. He's back there loading weights in their warm-up room. All right, ladies and gentlemen. No, Arian, are you bringing out the Masters Team Awards, Arian? Anybody in the control room? Arian? Oh, you're trying to pass the buck on to somebody else? You handed me the papers, Arian. Oh, all right. Mike Z. Didn't I? I got teens and I got open. That's all I have here. Masters? Is that all that's left, Priscilla? Just Masters? Should we do that after the in the afternoon session? Okay, what time? No one? Okay. All right, so we're gonna move on. The afternoon session starts at 2 p.m. 2 p.m. afternoon session. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for coming down for the morning session. Big round of applause for USA Powerlifting.